This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Monday. I'm not high enough for this shit. I've been waiting to come on stream to take a rip out of this bong. They didn't even tell me. I went to a different dispensary today. They didn't even tell me what the fuck I was getting. I got some moon rocks. I got that for New Year's. Only got a gram of it. They handed it to me. I'm like, this is a gram, really? He's like, it's dense. I waited when I got back. It is a gram. I cannot complain. Oh, I forgot I gotta turn my microphone down because I was on with Dave. Check. Okay, that looks good. Had to crank the sound last night. Oh, hell yeah, Flash. What are you looking forward to playing most on your new rig? Is there a particular thing that you're excited about? You just gonna fucking play like Skyrim Oblivion or something? So most people do. They build a really nice gaming rig and then they play a game from like 10, 15 years ago. Oblivion's like from 15 or 17, 18 years ago, isn't it? I'm getting old. Fucking Skyrim's like 15 years old. You know, Cyberpunk is on sale, but still not cheap. It has been like $19 a couple of times. I didn't grab it when it was, and I should have. And it's like on sale for like $29 right now in the PlayStation Store. Holiday, good evening. And Super Mario Brothers 2. Oh god, a Doki Doki Panic. That's what I grew up on, that shit. Like, it's wild to me that my life kind of started with the NES, right? Like, the NES came out the year I was born. I think the year that the craze hit the US, the year that my brother got one for Christmas. I'm like 3, I turned 4. We've got Duck Hunt and Mario and all that good shit. Which, speaking of which, way to dovetail into the meme I've got pulled up over here that everyone's gonna love. I mean, I don't get into specs and everything, right? Because the main thing I need as a video editor is RAM. That's what this fucking machine just like threw all the RAM at it. Everything else is kind of mid, because that's what I need for my purposes. So I'm not a spec kind of guy. I don't even know what the specs on my PS5 are. So here's your meme of the day. Are you saying expecting all the prices of computer parts to go up? Are we supposed to be manufacturing more a year and the price is supposed to be coming down? Oh, you're saying the tariffs. The tariffs, Justin. You forgot all about that. Speaking of which, we're coming right up. It's next Monday. It's a week from today. We're going to be watching the inauguration of Donald J. Trump for a second time. Oh, wait a minute. Not the inauguration. I'm sorry. January 6th is a week from today. I'm getting my dates mixed up. We're still a few weeks away from the inauguration. The certification is a week from today. I don't know what it would be like. I don't like my backdrop here. And like there's a mess going on as I'm still fucking moving in and figuring shit out and stuff. I've got till January 6th to really And I'll hang lights eventually and stuff and have some sort of a backdrop. I don't know. The room is not working out well with me because there used to be a fireplace right here. So that's like the natural spot where the TV should go. And there's like a thing, and my TV is huge. So like the TV stand can't go on the hearth for the walled off fireplace. So I've got like, that's where the litter boxes are right now, is where the fireplace used to be. So I anonymously, good evening. Minty, did I tell you good evening? Welcome in, everyone. Clinically, my friend. So glad to see they didn't even get, like, I looked at okay, so when Curiouser comes by, she picks me up, we go to the one dispensary. It's like, you know, high-class dispensary. It's a couple miles away from me. There's one that's closer. I didn't realize exactly how low I was yesterday as I was smoking some res on the stream. So I walked to this other one. I looked up the reviews before I walked there, though. Half of them were 5 stars, great service, love everything. And a lot of them were 0 stars. They shorted me. I hate everything about this place. So it was like half and half. So I'm like, oh, that's weird. And all the bad reviews were like women working there. So I get there, there's 2 dudes working there. I love the fact that like it says open door slowly. So me being the jackass that I am, opens the door as fucking slow as I can, like taking forever. And the dude's like, you can come in, because like the counter's right there, right? So if you open the door quickly, somebody might be standing at the counter, you smack them with the fucking door. So it's like, I'm just going to buy a little bit and check it out. See how I spent about $50. I bought a $50 sticker here. I'm a cat with the eyes. It's hard telling, right? Because, you know, I'm sure I get bad reviews. I do have bad reviews on my personal, that I have a few of them. The good reviews outweigh the bad reviews, but I have a few bad reviews. I've had some, but if you deal with hundreds and hundreds of clients like I have, you're eventually gonna have some bad experiences. One of my bad reviews, I've told this before. I always wanted to do porn. I've always wanted to edit porn because I like porn. I probably have a porn addiction, to be honest with to be completely honest with everyone. Because at 40, I don't go out and get laid the way I used to. It's just I stay home and jack off. It's less work. It's more rewarding. Jag off, smoke a bowl, play some video games. I'm 40. I don't need the shit that's going on out there anymore. It's not. I turned down pussy and dick more than I had the hottest crossdresser. If they had said something to me, because I even asked, I was like, is this an invitation? Is this an invitation? And they were just kind of playing coy. And, like, I beat off, went to sleep, woke up the next morning. They were like, so do you want to come over? I'm like, well, shit. Well, the best times when you're rubbing one out is when you do break a sweat, though, clinically. Warlord, good evening. Oh, let me run down what we're going to talk about tonight. Don't forget, this is Live Music Monday. I don't even know what we're going to do. I have a bunch of different things. I'll throw it out. I've got a Grateful Dead New Year's Eve concert. I got Billy Strings. I got Nile Rodgers and Chic, and I think that is the one thing we probably are going to watch for sure. The Grateful Dead I would be into, but it's like 4 hours long. It's fucking long. Or I've got a bunch of those like news articles or like the best New Year's live performances, and has YouTube videos linked to it, and I can go through that and we can watch a variety show of different, you know, Dick Clark, Rockin' Eve's performances. Or I may just go completely bonkers on you and play Johnny Cash Christmas that I didn't play last week. Who knows what is going to happen on Live Music Monday later tonight, but I can tell you what you're going to hear about here on the Troll Patrol. A woman was stabbed over a bad tip. Men that were searching for Sasquatch have been found dead. An SUV that was missing was found, has a 2-year-old child. An infant was found in the median of a small town. The family is defending the mom, says she should not face charges. The infant is tested positive for cocaine, by the way. A fight broke out in a Las Vegas courtroom during the arraignment of a young woman's killer. Gun detection software led cops to a body inside of an abandoned car. We have a suspect in a bank fraud heist. Stole apparently 25 grand. By the way, crime in the U.S. has dropped significantly. I love that was one of our top stories tonight. Crime in the U.S. has dropped significantly. I say after I go through all these crazy crime stories that we're going to be talking about. Tornadoes has killed people in Texas. We are going to spend a significant amount of time tonight talking about H1N1, H5N1. Apparently H9N1 has been detected in China. We got a lot of fun things to talk about, including an Alex Jones clip you're all going to love. Has Putin been dragging an anchor on some sort of ghost ship? Oh, plus it's shameful that Joe Biden used Jimmy Carter's death to attack Donald Trump, according to Fox News. All that and a lot friggin' more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Good evening, Oregon gal. Smokey, what's going on? Everybody wants to see Smokey. Hold on. As I was putting the show together, he was laying in my lap, and he was very upset when I got up to put on my bandana and apparently get my shirt out that was wrinkled. Trying to iron it up here on the stream. Looks like I'm rubbing my titties. Need a titty slap.
A titty slap! What the? Come on now.
He's got weak genetics, Flash. That's the reason for the voice. That's the reason why only one brain worm short-circuited him. Apparently it ate a significant portion of his brain, though. Infants doing cocaine makes clinically feel old. We already covered the volcano, like, was it last night? It doesn't feel like it was last night. We covered the volcano, didn't we? In Hawaii that exploded. We had some awesome fucking footage of it. Monsieur Balls. Minty, thank you for the Dennis Prager update. Back, Monsieur Balls. Call it a company. Is my mic doing that shit again? What in the fuck? I have no idea what is going on with my microphone and why it's doing weird shit. That's what I thought last night, Flash. And I don't know. I have had trouble out of this cable before. This is actually the cable. I can't take it out of unless I cut it. I can't take it out of the arm, the boom arm. I have other cables. If I have to, we can break a cable out and rewire this son of a bitch right now. Home of Bigfoot and stoned 2-year-olds. I think the 2-year was it found in Oregon? I'm not even sure, Oregon gal. I don't know. I wanted to say it was Colorado, but I think that was the other story. That was the gunfire detection thing. Oh, all that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Here's your meme of the day if you didn't catch it earlier. He was so bad on Saturday Night Live. So bad. Speaking of bad comedy, let's go to Fox News. Where they're apparently upset about Joe Biden using Jimmy Carter's death to attack Donald Trump, I guess.
America is mourning the loss of Jimmy Carter, the 39th president, passed away yesterday at the age of 100. He was the nation's longest living president. A national day of mourning and state funeral are set for January 9th. Both President Joe Biden and President-elect Donald Trump offering moving tributes to Carter. Trump posting, in part, quote, "While I strongly disagreed with him philosophically and politically, I also realized that he truly loved and respected our country and all it stands for. He worked hard to make America a better place, and for that, I give him my highest respect." Meanwhile, Biden addressed the nation from his vacation in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Jimmy Carter stands as a model of what it means to live a life of meaning and purpose, life of principle, faith, and humility.
Like you.
His life dedicated to others.
But during Biden's comments, the media appeared to see Biden's remarks as a bit of an opportunity to get a dig in at Trump, and Biden seemed a bit eager to oblige.
Thank you. President Trump to take from President Carter?
Decency. Decency. Decency.
Is that a dig at Trump?
Everybody deserves a shot. Everybody. Can you imagine Jimmy Carter walking by someone who needs something and just keep walking? Can you imagine Jimmy Carter?
I don't think you can blame Jimmy Carter. It's just like it was the tides.
The way they talk.
The neoliberalism was taking over.
I can't.
Tammy, he was given the opportunity, and he took it with a grin on his face there.
Look, it's a shame and it's embarrassing for
people like my parents. They were checked out.
Gritted teeth thing that he does.
Girl of the Gray, good evening.
Before on this program and other places, and we know for 50 years Joe Biden has been a jerk. So perhaps he should take some of his own advice with what's happened to this country. It was an opportunity, as President Trump, I think, illustrated, to be generous, right? Be generous. American people have made their decision. We're all Americans. We're moving forward. We will disagree politically and philosophically, but it's just a remarkable and a shameful thing to watch. But it is classic Biden. This is what we've been.
Orgy sofa, you say?
It's partly what the American people don't like.
Okay, I don't remember who else was on the panel, what anybody looks like. Let's play Would You Have an Orgy on the Orgy Sofa with the cast of Fox's show. Outnumbered.
I do not agree with Trump's style, but Biden is presented.
Okay, maybe, yeah, okay.
And the nice guy, and Scranton Joe, and he's mean and he's a bully, and it's a shame and it's embarrassing. And
the gal in the green has some really pretty eyes.
He said he goes through gritted teeth there. John, we're delighted to have you with us. Thank you for being here as we look back on the life of the former president and your thoughts on the way the current president reacted.
Libertad.
Happy New Year, everybody. It's so great to be with you.
Is this John Yoo?
Actually, I think hearing those statements from President Biden, it's part of us wanting to think better of President Carter. President Carter didn't treat President Reagan that way.
It is. Okay.
It also reminds us.
Okay. I can't be in an orgy with John Yoo. Like, just on looks alone, I was okay with the dude. Like, all right, he can come to the orgy. Well, then when I realized who he actually is, no, I couldn't do it. Why do you think he wouldn't have permission to tickle my balls, Flash? What in the world? It's an orgy. I would absolutely want him to tickle my balls. If he wasn't John Yoo. John Yoo deserves a titty slap.
A titty slap!
Oh, well, I mean, cards on the table. I don't like to be tickled, period. I'm very ticklish. I do not like it. He does kind of look like George Takei. But is that racist for you to say that, Libertad?
Was a good...
Oh, but this was the author of the torture memo during the Bush administration. So that's why, like, it's just morally reprehensible that I cannot be in an orgy with John Yoo.
Yeah. He was a smart man, both before his presidency.
Yeah, Oregon gal. I realized I hadn't
or agree with him, but I think the American people knew he was doing
hadn't made that clear.
He had the future of the country at heart. He, though, like Biden, had, I think, a failed presidency because they were both defeated by inflation. They were both defeated by foreign policy challenges. With Carter, it was the Iranian Revolution, the hostages, the Soviet Union.
Former Deputy Assistant Attorney General to George W. Bush.
Also undone by the Middle East. Mm-hmm. And Ukraine, of course, and the war in Israel.
Yeah, and I don't like pain.
I think we're undone by those circumstances, and hopefully we'll be followed by stronger, better leaders. Reagan then, hopefully Trump now.
There's so many beautiful tributes coming out, and we just see sometimes you take the bait, I guess, in the moment.
Well, in fairness, they were undone by, inflation and foreign policy, but those were also decisions of their own making that created their, political downfall.
Quesadilla, good evening.
It is fitting that Joe Biden was one of the first to endorse Jimmy Carter in 1976 because they do share a lot of those same policy failures, both economically as well as with foreign policy. And sort of this misplaced judgment of embracing enemies and rejecting friends, particularly in the Middle East, which led to the Iran hostage crisis that went on.
That is the biggest failure of Carter.
For Joe Biden, your policy,
at least domestically,
Iran's
is
involvement with
the privatization of the rail line
since the Holocaust, the most deaths since the Holocaust, with the recent terror attack in October, not too long ago. So, a lot of that was their own doing. The difference between the two men is Jimmy Carter will be known for having a level of decency, for loving his
Trump
wife
won't.
For 77 years, for being someone who flew commercial and took photos with people, walking down the aisle along the way, for teaching Sunday school at his local church after leaving political office. So he will be known for having a failed president, but a decent man, where Joe Biden will just be remembered as a failed president and an indecent man.
Lisa's drawing some contrast there, Nicole.
Yeah, so you know what? I'll be honest. I was disappointed with a lot of people's responses after his death was announced. There was.
I'm sure you're caring about a lot of things, ma'am.
We mourn his loss, but, and even President Trump in his post said, "I didn't agree with him politically." Like, at some point, can we take the politics out and just focus on the human being?
Well, they're politicians, and you're doing a political show.
Family and the American people. Married to his wife for 77 years, taught local Sunday school at his
Who
church.
gives a shit?
He brought the guinea worm. It was not that everybody knows what that is, but it's a huge public health issue that was global, and he brought the incidence down by 99.9%. He helped lead those efforts. He also lived with stage 4 melanoma for years. This was a good human. And I think people can just focus on that, and we don't have to.
Oh, absolutely. Might possibly be the most ethical and moral, however you want to define it, world leader, possibly ever. Who knows? He would definitely be in the running. So I cut him a lot of slack. I tend to blame the system. I don't tend to blame the individual person with any administration. Joe Biden is just a figurehead for an administration.
President Biden obviously did that. He said it with gritted teeth. It was really upsetting to watch it. And it wasn't his handlers. It wasn't like that was an prompter. That actually is what he said. And, he failed. And I think he's just going to continue to go out looking like a bitter old man.
Yeah, but I also just think that's just being honest, right? I mean,
absolutely,
it's
you can be honest,
but
I don't know if it's not necessary, in my opinion. I think that when someone dies, you can either say something positive about them or say nothing at all. I mean, that's what I teach my children.
But, history is complicated and people are complicated. And so I think it's just taking into account the complexity of all that and just being truthful. I mean, I see your point, but I guess I take the point of Let's just be honest.
Yeah, well, we can have the conversation about his politics. I mean, these are all excellent points that you...
Well, you are a political show.
We can say a lot of negative things about them. I just think in the moment when you're talking about someone dying, that's not the time to talk about their policies.
No
It's
doubt.
exactly the time to talk about like their impact on the world as a world leader.
Did post-presidency.
The perfect time. Especially as, you know, younger generations are learning about Jimmy Carter, some probably for the first time. But, you know, Joe Biden told him to be decent. You know, why might Joe Biden say that about Donald Trump? Because, you know, he's an adjudicated rapist. Now, I've had right-wingers fight me over this. I even had one. The dude that was on fucking, I forget what his name was now. The guy with the pretty hair that did a video about me and the Destiny thing, and he came on and he debated with me about shit. He, like, had said to me that there was no evidence in the E. Jean Carroll case, and it would get thrown out on appeal. He guaranteed that. He said, will you admit you were wrong when it gets thrown out on appeal? So earlier this afternoon, I messaged him and said, will you admit that you were wrong now that the appeal has been upheld? And boy, was that hilarious. The argument that ensued.
Learned an appeals court rejected President-elect Donald Trump's bid to overturn a jury's verdict that found him liable for sexual abuse and defamation. The case stems from a lawsuit brought by writer E. Jean Carroll and upholds the $5 million award granted to her. In May of 2023, a federal jury found him civilly liable for sexually abusing Carroll in the 90s in a department store dressing room and then defaming her. Trump tried arguing the trial judge violated his rights by allowing certain evidence, including the testimony of two women who shared stories of their alleged encounters with Trump that bore similarities to Carroll's story. A 3-judge federal appeals panel rejected Trump's argument.
Yeah, that was the funniest thing.
To a new trial. Trump has vehemently denied Carroll's allegations and has vowed to appeal the case as far as the Supreme Court. CBS News senior correspondent Ed O'Keefe joins us now. So, Ed, let's start there. Are Trump and his team saying anything yet about this appeals court decision?
Lindsay, no formal comment from the Trump team yet to this case. And as you laid out there, remember, this is a civil case, not a criminal case. There was no guilty verdict in this case, just that he was found liable for sexual abuse and defamation, which means that a jury had decided there was a preponderance of evidence supported the sexual abuse and defamation claims. And essentially, the judges said the jury had found that Trump more likely than not committed sexual abuse and defamation in this case. It is one of a handful of legal challenges that continue.
Yeah, that was really his only defense. She's not my type.
Even though he's cleared the decks of some of the more significant ones in the past year.
Let's go ahead and shift gears here. Trump made a couple of comments regarding the passing of former President Jimmy Carter, saying, quote, while I strongly disagreed with him philosophically and politically, I also realized that he truly loved and respected our country and all it stands for. He worked hard to...
Flash, I asked that very dude.
Highest respect.
I asked that dude the same thing because he kept saying it wasn't a civil case. It wasn't a civil case. There was no criminal charge. I was like, well, you think O.J. Simpson is guilty, right? You would use a civil case as evidence. And he's like, but there's evidence in the O.J. case. This is just hearsay. I'm like, testimony is evidence, especially when you have multiple women saying the same thing and you have Trump on tape saying he does exactly what he was accused of. That's fucking evidence.
What can you tell us about the relationship between the two former presidents?
And not terribly close and not one that found much agreement on policy or politics, but that is perhaps in keeping with how Carter's four other living successors may have had their relationship with Carter shaped at various times. He was someone known to speak out about what the sitting president may or may not have been doing at the time. Where they might have found agreement, for example, was on North Korea. Carter, of course, had visited to help get hostages freed. Trump, of course, met with Kim Jong-un. So dialogue with people like Kim Jong-un is something that Carter would have promoted and would have liked to have seen. But in other regards, whether it's Cuba, whether it's the situation in the Middle East, whether it's the 2020 election and how it should have been treated, the 2016 election and how it should have been treated, they would have had sharp disagreements. Either way, a positive sign perhaps for those concerned how Trump might react to this news. No indication.
Watching the debate,
former president,
the Carter-Reagan debate from last night, that was wild.
Scheduled for next
Lenny, good evening.
But if tradition and the health of the former presidents and their spouses.
One of the most striking things from the debate was that Ronald Reagan proposed lowering the minimum wage for minorities. Kid you fucking not. That was a thing he said during the fucking debate. In 1980, Ronald Reagan proposed lowering the minimum wage for minorities. It was kind of shocking to hear that.
Told they should all be in attendance, at least at the funeral, again in Washington next week.
Let's shift to politics. Trump today endorsed Speaker Mike Johnson to remain in his role when the 119th Congress begins next week. How much easier?
I mean, it's amazing they don't make that proposal.
To the entire caucus that he deserves to hold on to the gavel.
Well, that's unclear, Lindsay, because remember when they held that vote just before Christmas about that short-term spending plan that the president-elect preferred, one that would have just extended federal spending levels through March and perhaps would have dealt with the debt ceiling being lifted as well.
Oh, I don't have to do the next story. Trump endorses Mike Johnson.
Against the president-elect's wishes. So we know of at least 4 or 5 House Republicans who don't, at least right now, publicly support Speaker Johnson. You may think to yourself, well, why does that matter? You got to remember, going into next year, when the new Congress starts on Friday, they are so closely divided that Speaker Johnson can afford to lose but 2 votes if all members of the new House of Representatives show up to cast ballots. And if you've got 4,
wow,
they've got concerns, that could spell trouble for him. It might mean Republicans end up going into that sort of vortex of figuring out amongst themselves, well, who else could possibly be elected as our leader? Trump doing this today signals that he still supports the Speaker for what he's done so far, believes he's been loyal to the president-elect's agenda. They, of course, have been pretty much joined at the hip since the later months of the election, trying to coordinate on policy and messaging. And in recent weeks, Trump has been relatively pleased with how the Speaker has been making things move along. But there were reports, of course, that they had disagreements over that short-term spending plan. Either way, no guarantee Johnson wins the vote on Friday just because the former president, the president-elect, has weighed in.
We will be watching.
Yes, we'll have to cover that as well.
In Palm Beach, it is another day of sun and a busy day on the water behind you. Thanks so much.
We'll see what happens on Friday. It was a hell of a fight 2 years ago. Almost a fist fight one time. We covered it closely. The fight for Speaker of the House. But we don't have Matt Gaetz being a shit stirrer this time. Matt Gaetz was integral in the commotion that happened last time. Speaking of laws, Congress is set to reconvene. We're going to break down the new laws taking effect in the U.S.
The start of the new year also means the start of new laws going into effect around the country. And some of the big ones include restrictions for minors on social media and a minimum wage bump for nearly half the country. More than 9 million Americans across 21 states will see an increase in their minimum wage starting January 1st. Nearly 1 in 5 of those receiving a bump in pay are below the poverty line. The federal minimum wage of $7.25 hasn't budged since 2009. For more, I want to bring in CBS News Jessica Levinson. Jessica, good to see you. So several states are set to implement new laws placing restrictions on minors' social media usage in 2025. So how does that be enforced? How will that be enforced, and what do parents need to know?
Well, awareness is a big part of these laws, frankly. It's not just about the law in effect. It's also
Black guy, what's going on, my friend?
Campaign saying to parents that there are some issues with minors and social media. In terms of the enforcement, it's a great question, and the answer is there is no perfect enforcement. So, these laws vary on everything from usage to content moderation to age verification. And some laws are stricter than others. For some age verification, you basically just have to check a box. For other age verification laws, you have to upload a government ID. For usage, sometimes it's more like a good faith effort. Sometimes platforms will enforce and kick you off after a certain period of time. But it's a combination of cooperation between parents, platforms, and the government. In terms of specific government oversight, for instance, by the FTC, oftentimes we're talking about random.
I will once again advocate that we need some sort of digital bill of rights where we own our data and companies aren't allowed to sell it without our consent. We need a whole new rethinking of how we operate online, and our current Congress is not equipped to do that in any way.
Audits, which is imperfect, but essentially the best we can do right now. And obviously there are jurisdictional issues because these are not just multi-state social media platforms.
Sure, white guy, but that's a parental thing.
And it looks like some in January, some in July. So let's talk about
that's not something to legislate.
Colorado and Missouri are implementing new hands-free driving laws. It goes beyond just no texting and driving. It makes
it should be something like that, Flash. We should be able to negotiate a rate for our data.
States, have those been effective? And what would it mean this would be a secondary offense?
Yeah, really important questions. Many of these law studies indicate have been effective in terms of reducing what we want to reduce, crashes and specifically fatalities, the worst type of crash, obviously. The studies indicate that the most effective laws are those that are most aggressively enforced. What do we mean by aggressively enforced? That people are actually checking, police officers are actually pulling you over, and that the fine is substantial. For instance, not like in California where it's 20.
And I don't know where I stand on kids and internet usage, right? Because you could make the argument that if you limit their internet usage, you are limiting their potential in a future, if we're thinking about it in strictly capitalist terms, in a future job market. As a child is when you cultivate those kind of skills where they might engineering skills through a computer. So any number of you fucking DJs. The algorithms are the problem. It's not the technology. It's the algorithms. It's advertising. And that's another reason why we need some sort of legislation that protects us from corporations.
Or $30. In terms of secondary offense, what that really means is police officers need another reason to pull you over. It can't be, oh, I saw you on your phone, you were holding your phone. It has to be, you didn't signal, then you pull the person over and you think that secondarily they might have been violating one of these laws. So it does mean that enforcement is harder, which the statistics would indicate means that they won't be as effective as they could be.
Jessica Levinson, thank you. Happy New Year to you. If you don't have plans, you can join us on New Year's Eve for our countdown to 2025.
I wish people would just not... talking on the phone and driving is one thing. I don't think we necessarily need hands-free laws. Holding this to your ear shouldn't impair your ability to drive. But people that fucking text while they're driving... I shouldn't throw this little fit, 'cause there's probably people in the chat that are like, I text while I drive. That's a really hot woman over that. It is worse than drunk driving, and I will go ballistic on you if you were in the car with me and you do it. Oh, I've not only lost a incredibly hot woman over it, I've lost a best friend over it. Multiple times I have had very significant fights with her over it. Also, she drives like a maniac and went like 90, weaving in and out of lanes and shit. And I'm like, the fuck are you doing that for? Again, I drive like a grandmother, and I shame people for not driving like grandmothers. Sorry. I wear a seatbelt. I'm safe. I am a safe driver. I don't even have a car anymore. That is how much I am. For someone who used to travel I have a driver's license. I can drive. Chip will tell you that I should not drive because he thinks I can't see. Apparently sitting here with 5 monitors in front of you all day apparently really impairs for years, really impairs your eyes. And I say I'm fine because I can see. I just can't read a sign 25 feet down the road. I don't even remember what I was ranting about anymore. I don't know. I have no sense of time. I have no sense of distance. So how far is 25 feet? Is that really close? I've had people tell me that I should be able to read signs that oh my God, I can't even remember what it was. There was some place we were walking into the other day, Curious and I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a pizza place. And like we got up to the sign, it was like Plaza Center or something. It had nothing to do with pizza. It is kind of comical. Apparently, I don't think it's a bigger problem because I'm like, you shouldn't be able to see a sign that far away. Luckily, Sparkle said that they should deny me if I had to take an eye test. And I go in and they just renew my fucking license. They didn't make me take an eye test or anything. I actually look really good in glasses. I wore fake glasses like my junior year of high school because I think I look good in them. Makes me look intelligent and shit. Put on my sunglasses. Well, now we got the issue of, if I need glasses, I need to go to like an optometrist and get a prescription and shit like that. And we live in an American healthscape where, I don't have insurance. That's why I should probably get a real job. And I say real job, but my actual job is a real job. I sit here and work for people all day. But by real job, I mean like a brick and mortar place that I walk, drive, go somewhere to, and have benefits and a salary and shit like that. But I really don't want to. Yeah. Well, apparently the Daily Wire doesn't pay people well. I'll go to TYT. TYT apparently keeps having people quit on them. Chank, I'm here. Hire me. I think you're right about everything. Fuck the left. They're crazy motherfuckers. We're the center of the left. Avalon, good evening. Maximum left. If Chank will pay me, I'll say whatever the fuck he wants. I'm at that point in life. I don't even care anymore. Pay me, I'll say whatever the fuck you want. Ben Shapiro, pay me, I'll say whatever the fuck you want. Alex Jones, come on, I'll be on the InfoWars network. Buys it and it becomes a whole... That's what it would be like working on the TYT network. It was just Chank would cut my mic mid-rant. Unless you'll pay me. If you pay me, I am totally down with you. I think you're amazing, Chank. We're the actual leftists. Not these wackadoodles on Twitter. Anyway, back to what that news be doing. Putin's shadowy ghost ship dragged its anchor along the seabed for 60 miles, apparently to cut those cables we were talking about a few months ago.
A shadowy Russian ship sabotaged a key power cable by dragging its anchor on the seabed for dozens of miles, Finnish authorities fear. As well as rupturing the F2 power cable in the Gulf of Finland, 4 other communication lines were also damaged in a suspected deliberate act of vandalism. Finnish police said they had found tracks along the bottom of the Baltic Sea where a tanker carrying Russian oil had sailed. The Eagle S is a Cook Islands registered 751-foot ship seen as part of Russia's Shadow or Dark Fleet, operated by...
It was kind of pretty, wasn't it, Balls?
Sanctions. Reports say the tanker is bristling with spy equipment, enabling the Russians to monitor NATO shipping and aircraft. The vessel was boarded by Finnish police and Coast Guard officials on Thursday and sailed into Finnish waters, where the crew of the impounded tanker is being questioned. Anchor traces stretch more than 60 miles on the seabed, according to Finland's National Bureau of Investigation. Baltic Sea nations have been on high alert after a string of outages of power cables, telecom links and gas pipelines since Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. NATO said on Friday it would bolster its presence in the region. A break in the 658-megawatt S-Link 2 power cable between Finland and Estonia occurred at midday on Christmas Day, leaving only the 358 MW S-Link 1 linking the two countries, grid operators said. They said S-Link 2 might not be back in service before August. It has not yet been possible to establish where exactly the anchor was dropped, but a search of the seabed will continue after the weather conditions improve. The crew, comprising citizens of India and Georgia, are facing questioning after the ship was held in the port of Kilpilati. According to the Marine Traffic Service, the
compromising
departed from the Russian port of Ust-Luga for Egypt, but slowed down sharply while passing over the S-Link 2 cable on Christmas Day. The cable immediately stopped working. The Eagle S has previously dropped sensors-type devices in the English Channel during transit, said the British-owned shipping industry publication Lloyd's List, which revealed the presence of spy equipment on board. The Kremlin said on Friday that Finland's seizure of the ship was of little concern to it. Russia has denied involvement in any of the previous Baltic infrastructure damage incidents.
I've apparently got to shorten this cable. I need to... Yeah, apparently there's been another one. What, this is like the 3rd line that's been cut? Got some big brass balls indeed. All right. Let me get high for this. Let's light one up, tip one back before we do this next one, because you're all gonna want to buckle up. It's gonna be a fun ride. Some might accuse me of fear-mongering, but I don't think that keeping abreast of what is going on and taking the proper precautions is fear-mongering. Flash, I encourage you to. I stopped smoking 7, 8, 9 years ago, something like that. I was trying to stop when I was dating Curiouser. Yes, she's like my Elaine. Sorry about that. Repositioning the microphone. All right, let's get high here. I smoked from 18 until I was 33 or 34. I still have a little bit of a... Oh, fair enough, Balls. Fair enough. I smoked cigarettes from the time I was 18 until I was about 34. The last time I ever smoked was I saw Louis C.K. and I've been trying to quit for a couple of years and didn't regularly buy tobacco, but would definitely get tobacco driving back from Nashville after I'd had a couple of drinks at a comedy show. And I stopped and bought a cigar, and I puffed on it like I was still a smoker, and I probably hadn't smoked in a couple months at that point. And it caused me to throw up, and I haven't been able to smoke since. And the smell of smoke fucks with me. I know that's weird to say for somebody sitting here holding the bong. That flash, that I could not quit until I got completely away from, and especially like I started working for myself and working from home. China hacked the Treasury Department. I figured China was already inside of all our shit. China hacking the Treasury Department really doesn't surprise me. We're going to get to China. China's going to get its come up in this next set of stories. All right, light one up, tip one back. Did they cancel my student loans? Come on, China. You know, does Treasury hold my loans? I don't think that's the branch that would have my loans, is it? I mean, at this point, what would you guys rather have? Like, China seems like a preferable option, doesn't it? Even in their geopolitical dealings, they've decided that, you know, using money and sweet talk is better than military might. It's wild. But also they unveiled some kind of super battleship or something today or yesterday. China has been winning in capitalism. They've played it well. That's kind of the most hilarious thing, is that a communist country is playing the game of capitalism better than anybody, really. But they've also got some weird shit going on in their real estate market. But I've been hearing like it's a house of cards for 10 years now, and it's still not, you know, it's ebbed and flowed, but it hasn't completely collapsed. Lenny, is there anything that you can tell us? Well, you said it's enlightening. Like, what was the biggest surprise to you? The most eye-opening thing to you about China as an American going there? And I assume you're not like just some outback redneck that's never left the state. You seem like a cosmopolitan man. Was this your first time in China as well? We should do the freak show, and I should have you on and talk to you about China. Isn't it more like I think I may be thinking more of like India, Indonesian shit, but like don't they have like no laws at interstates and shit? Interchanges. Like people just kind of like follow a flow or shit. That's more India, I think. China seems very more regulated, regimented. Hold on, let me go and grab some tea real fast. I get the cotton mouth really bad. Very, very susceptible to it. Manufacturing cities. Yeah, this is something, Lenny, I'm gonna get up with you here in the next couple of weeks, and we're gonna do a freak show together, and I wanna ask you questions about your trip to China. This is kind of fascinating to me. And also get to know you. Are you? Oh, I should not be so presumptuous. If you are down to come on. No. It would totally be my pleasure, my friend. One more time. Let's light one up, tip them back. I assure you, you need to be a little inebriated for the next set of stories that we're gonna do, and then we're gonna do some crime stories, and then we're gonna do live music Monday. I want a phone call. I want a right winger to call in. I've been desperately trying to get some from like the Facebook group I'm in and shit. They're all cowards. The bird flu virus is mutated within a Louisiana patient, according to the CDC. A genetic analysis suggests the bird flu virus mutated inside a Louisiana patient who contracted the nation's first severe case of the illness. Scientists believe the mutations may allow the virus to better bind to receptors in the upper airways of humans, something they say is concerning but not a cause for alarm. Michael Osterholm, who is one of the top infectious disease researchers in the country, likened the binding interaction to a lock and key. To enter a cell, the virus needs to have a key that turns the lock, and this finding means the virus may be changing to have a key that might work. Osterholm goes on Majority Report, and I wouldn't be surprised if Sam has him on in the next week or two. The virus has been causing sporadic, mostly mild illness in people in the U.S., and nearly all of those infected worked on dairy or poultry farms. You're going to hear from one of them, a few workers, I believe, here in a second. Louisiana patient was hospitalized in critical condition with severe respiratory symptoms from bird flu after coming in contact with sick and dead birds in a backyard flock. The person, who has not been identified, is older than 65 and has underlying medical problems, officials said earlier this month. Now, don't take that to, it only affects older people, like people said with COVID. Apparently, bird flu is worse for young people. Is apparently really deadly for cats, unfortunately. "20 big cats at a Washington wildlife refuge died at the center, forcing the sanctuary to close until further notice." God damn it. The Wild Field Advocacy Center confirmed in a statement that bird flu killed 20 of its big cats. The virus killed 5 servals, 4 bobcats, 4 cougars, 2 Canadian lynx, a Bengal tiger, a Bengal cat, an African carousel. I always say it wrong. Carousel. A Jeffries cat, which I've never even heard of. A Eurasian lynx. Tragedy has deeply affected our team, and we are all grieving the loss of these incredible animals. Former state health commissioner went on Face the Nation, Meet the Press, Fuck the News, whatever the hell it was, Face the Nation yesterday morning to express her concern with the lack of transparency and action on the behalf of the Biden administration and the CDC.
Is this report out of Louisiana worrisome And if so, why?
Well, it's one more sign that the drumbeat of bird flu coming closer to humans is becoming a major threat. So we've already seen this year that there have been a number of mammalian species close to humans that now have bird flu outbreaks. We have outbreaks in poultry in all 50 states. 16 states have outbreaks in cattle. In California, in the last 30 days, there have been more.
Wait, did she say poultry outbreaks in all 50 states? Because that was a stat I was not aware of.
Species close to humans that now have bird flu outbreaks. We have outbreaks in poultry in all 50 states. 16 states have outbreaks in cattle. In California, in the last 30 days, there have been more than 300 herds that tested positive. And now we have 66 cases of bird flu in humans. And this is almost certainly a significant undercount because we have not been doing nearly enough testing, so we really don't know the extent of bird flu that's out there in humans. But this particular case, it's someone who is severely ill, but not only that, researchers have isolated the virus in this individual who is sick in Louisiana, and they found that this particular strain of the virus appears to have acquired mutations that make it more likely to bind to airway receptors. Bird flu has been around for a long time.
About 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. But it hasn't been a major issue in humans because while it spreads among birds, it hasn't really spread among mammals. But now there is this mutation. And there's another concern now, major too, which is that we're in flu season. And it's possible that a single person could have bird flu and seasonal flu at the same time.
Something called reassortment.
That's right.
Where things change because of one illness becoming another illness through reassortment of a mutated virus.
That's right. And so the viruses could exchange genes. You could develop a new hybrid virus. And if you now have a virus that's more contagious and causes more severe disease, that's when it becomes a major threat to humankind.
What should be
DJ Dub, it's not an if but when situation. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't take this as that it's going to all of a sudden be human to human contact in the next few months. It could take years. It could be a few months. But it looks like it's like a certainty. This is from PBS. This is workers at a Colorado dairy farm.
The lifeline for many agricultural workers.
The farm workers and dairy workers, it's very hard. It's very hard to survive.
She's a community health worker with Project Protect, part of a statewide nonprofit. Her regular visits and food deliveries to farm workers in need now includes a bag full of face shields and masks, the equipment that protects them from bird flu. Since the spring, avian influenza has been spreading in dairy cattle and has infected about 60 farm workers nationwide. Despite the risks, this worker said he's gotten little information from his employer.
The owner, we never see him. They're not interested in us.
Speaking to us anonymously because he is undocumented, he told us earlier this year he was ill and had conjunctivitis, commonly known as pink eye. The symptom is a sign of possible infection from this strain of bird flu.
On a statistic, we don't have too much people sick from this fever. But on the reality, many people got sick, but they never know because they never had information about what the symptoms are or how they feel.
Leon is part of a network of so-called promotores established during COVID to help spread critical information to Colorado's many Hispanic farm workers. Lately, the Promotora network has shifted to addressing the threat.
Holiday, do you work around a farm?
Get
on a farm, around farm workers?
Started circulating in this area over the summer.
Not really. The government response was too late. They know they have the sickness because the symptoms, the eyes and the cows. So now they know they got this sickness, but only because we provide information later, not before.
In addition to groups like Project Protect, a federally funded agricultural health and safety center at Colorado State University has been using social media to provide information to workers.
Like, shouldn't that be the job of the company?
N1 has killed more than 100 million poultry birds and tens of thousands of marine mammals. In cows, it has been less deadly, with most recovering after experiencing a drop in milk production. While at least one
titties weren't looking good.
Hospitalized with bird flu, this recent strain of the virus circulating in cows has been relatively mild in humans, and the risk to the public remains low. But Colorado state veterinarian Maggie Baldwin and state epidemiologist Rachel Herlihy are watching the changes in the pathogen closely.
We've seen this virus move from species to species before. We've seen spillover of this virus from wild birds and from poultry to mammals, and particularly that's been wild mammals in the past. What's concerning is the mammal-to-mammal transmission of the virus right now.
While pasteurization has been shown to kill the virus in milk and dairy products, workers coming into contact with raw milk are at risk.
We know that the more opportunities that we give this virus to be exposed to people, the more opportunities it has to adapt potentially and then gain that ability to potentially spread from person to person. And that's, of course, what we want to prevent.
Since July, Colorado has mandated weekly bird flu testing of bulk milk samples from its licensed dairies.
Every week, we've seen fewer and fewer positives, which is fantastic news. But we really don't know what the long-term impact of this virus looks like. We know that, yes, the dairy cows do seem to build some level of an immune response, but we don't know if an infected herd could become reinfected. And dairy herds are constantly bringing in new replacement animals all the time.
Over the summer, more than half of the dairy herds in Colorado tested positive for avian influenza. While there hasn't been a positive case since August, there's still concern about dairy farm workers, many of whom are undocumented immigrants.
There really is very little support.
At a Mexican restaurant, we met one longtime dairy worker who also wanted to remain anonymous because of his immigration status. Have companies given the right protections to farm workers to keep them safe?
No.
There really weren't any measures taken. The only measure to avoid infection was when they washed the tires of the trailer trucks that arrived to drop off the feed. But as far as the personnel, I never saw them wearing any protective gear to avoid infection.
He described a friend who got sick and said the lack of paid sick leave makes workers hesitant to report their illnesses.
From the moment a worker gets sick and stops working, he doesn't get anything.
Community health worker Soraya Leone says there are also issues with access to clinics and the cost of care. Immigration status also plays a role in workers not getting tested.
Undocumented people, they don't say anything because they are afraid all the time.
Zach Riley with the Colorado Livestock Association says the industry has been a crucial partner with state officials in protecting animal and worker health.
There's been multiple free resources provided by the state and by employers to try to make sure that you are protected. I would say you would be hard pressed to find somebody not doing it.
I mean, we did speak to some farm workers who said without the help of these nonprofit organizations might not have had the information or the PPE at their disposal.
I would venture to guess that's a very limited case and very limited number of those. Any one of our producers would gladly tell you they're offering a whole treasure trove of things to their employees.
But despite efforts to reach out to several different cattle organizations, including Riley's, we couldn't find a Colorado dairy farmer to speak with us, some citing concerns around the potential spread of bird flu. In November, research from Colorado and Michigan confirmed what many people suspected. Antibody tests showed more farm workers had signs of previous bird flu infections.
That is not uncommon when it comes to infectious diseases because not everyone gets tested, but it does tell us that we still have work to do to protect humans from exposure.
Back at El Centenario Mexican restaurant, this dairy worker agreed that more support is needed.
Most people who work on dairy farms, most of us lack someone to tell us what guarantees we have. We are really lacking information.
While there haven't been recent cases of bird flu in Colorado dairy herds, the virus is continuing to spread widely in California cows. Earlier this month, federal ag regulators took Colorado's lead and announced mandatory milk testing for the first time, an acknowledgement that we are still a long ways from getting a handle on the spread of this disease. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Stephanie Tsai in Weld County, Colorado.
At this moment in time, the only thing you can do on the individual level is, maybe watch out about eating eggs, possibly not drink milk. I don't know. Make sure you cook your eggs properly. Make sure you cook your chicken properly. And believe me, I am shuddering here at the thought of not drinking milk, as I am addicted to fucking chocolate milk. Was kicking myself that I walked to the dispensary today and walked right by a store and did not stop and get milk. Forgot that I was out of milk. Have chocolate, no milk. Yes, definitely don't drink raw milk. And you shouldn't drink raw milk anyway unless, you live on that farm or you're, really close to the people who have the farm. Then raw milk is pretty good. I have had it. This next story you need to take with a grain of salt because I can't confirm it. DJ Dub, I don't know. I mean, I guess, with the chocolate... shouldn't be able to tell the difference, right? But I've always shunned things that don't have lactose in them. I have never tried the milk alternatives. With the chocolate in it, you would assume that, that's the predominant taste. I definitely do not like Yoo-hoo. So if drinking chocolate almond milk would be like drinking Yoo-hoo, then no. I didn't know you could ultra pasteurize your milk. If you really want to be a hypochondriac about it, you can boil your milk after you get home with it. Almonds do take so much water to grow. They are a drain on the environment. We're kind of fucked. We're kind of fucked in a lot of ways. Apparently, hospitals in China are overwhelmed with a severe flu outbreak. These are apparently videos that I can't verify because I couldn't find any reliable sources that I know of because it's China. I don't know what the reliable sources for Chinese news are. Tadpole, good evening. It's very much resembling 2019. There's a funky looking face.
医生我要医完了，医生，要没了，医生。
I will say that I had read that there was a flu-like illness sweeping through China. Horror movie soundtrack. And I can tell you right now that, in my opinion, the media has not done near enough coverage of the bird flu. It is not getting the coverage that is warranted for it. And when they do talk about it, they talk about the price of eggs and chicken and shit. They don't even mention the cause of why the price of eggs is going up. However, I don't even know, like, how are they all right now? The right is losing their minds. Do not comply has been trending multiple times on Twitter over the fact that we've got a pandemic coming. They're gonna pull the same shit after Trump gets in office, when the media isn't even giving it the coverage it warrants. Here's Alex Jones.
Oh! Get off of me! Get off! Let go of his vest. Let go of his vest. He's fucking choking me! He's choking me! What the fuck? Let go of his vest. Get the fuck off me! Get the fuck off him! Stop! Fuck you, bitch! Get the fuck off me! What are you doing? You just kicked me. You're fucking choking me, dude! What the fuck? You're fucked in the head! You're fucked! What the fuck are you doing to me?
Oh, come on through. Come on through.
Yes, we may see a raw milk craze to own the libs.
What are you doing? Trampling. Trampling horses. Trampling. Stop it.
I mean, ACAB to those motherfuckers.
Oh my God. They just trampled this lady. They just trampled that lady. They just fully trampled that lady.
No, they don't deserve horses. I'm tired of cops and animal abuse. Cops shouldn't have dogs.
Here's the lady that was trampled.
This is Alex Jones. This is footage from 2020, apparently.
Tyranny and oppression of the last 5 years was publicly prepared by the UN, the IMF, the World Bank, the WEF for decades before. They said Disease X will bring in our world government and our cashless society to control everywhere you go and what you do and train you to stay locked in your house for future carbon lockdowns. This is all official. And remember,
it's official.
Criminals, all the big pharma spokespersons being proven wrong and lying and pushing their poison shots and saying they protect you and saying that you can't get the virus or spread it. It was all a giant criminal psyop. It's all been declassified. It's all been leaked. It's all come out. Well, now they're trying it again. Remember the police horses running over people from Canada to Germany to Australia. Remember people getting beat up on the New York subway for not dozens and dozens of new mRNA and other shots for the bird flu, but they don't know what the mutation's going to be, so it really won't work. And if you take it, well, it will then mutate other viruses in your body and actually could create something deadly. I mean, just the basic science of the vaccine and how it accelerates their evolution when you give people these experimental shots is wild. They are openly killing us. They think we're so stupid we're going to buy it again. Well, we bought it at first. I never did. Most of you didn't, but some of the public did. But now we're not going to buy it as a human population. This time, it's going to blow up in their face, but we've got to get this information out. Do you want a new...
He hasn't lost the studio just yet, unfortunately.
Declared him in California and other places. They want to hand Trump a total disaster when he gets into office in just 21 days. No, it's an info war. They're the...
They got halted by a panel of judges.
Together.
Or no, the judge of the case.
For the last few years, and imagine how much worse this new tyranny is going to be. These criminals must go to prison. It's us or them.
His company that makes his supplements or whatever the fuck that he partners with is trying to buy it and give it back to him. The Onion technically put in a lesser offer of the other company offered like $5 or $6 million for the assets, and the Onion put in like $3.5 or something million, but their offer contained the the parents from the lawsuit who won the judgment against him giving up their claim. So their offer was technically more because the parents were coming on as part of like the new company and giving up their share of what they would have got from Alex. But the company argued that, oh, they put in a less bid than us. That's unfair. And the judge agreed with him, so they put it on hold. And they're going to, there's a new submission of the bids in March or February or something. Yeah, it was worked out for the parents who are owed the money by Alex Jones. Like they were giving up something, so it came out better. So yeah, probably delay tactics. Maybe the Onion has to come back with 450 or something, or not 450, 4.5 or some shit like that. Got up the ante a little bit. Or perhaps they argue that, hey, because of the parents, our offer was so much more. Okay, so last night I referenced a tweet from Dr. Peter Hotez. Hotez and Osterholm are the two people that you should trust most during a pandemic about virology and shit like that. Hotez says H5N1 is not a reason to be terrified. We know a lot about zoonotic flu. We have been preparing it for 20 years, unlike when COVID began, and we have candidate vaccines, antivirals, and diagnostics. Only 3 things can negate this: policy failures, pandemic denialism, anti-science disinformation. And Hotez? Yep. So what you were saying to us, Peter, is that we should be fucking terrified. He did flash. He did. And then Rogan never brought him back on. Wanted him to have a debate with RFK or some shit like that. And Hotez wouldn't do it. And for good reason. Hope our friends in Texas are okay following an outbreak of deadly storms. At least 3 people have been killed in Texas.
Severe storms continued marching eastward Sunday. A large funnel cloud spotted over Mississippi. This after multiple deadly tornadoes struck parts of the southeast Saturday. Deaths reported in Texas, North Carolina, and Mississippi. In Conroe, Texas, residents reporting extensive home damage.
A lot of mobile homes that have been rolled.
Merry Christmas, motherfuckers.
15 individuals they were trapped. That we got them all out, no injuries, amazing.
Sunday, ongoing storms exposing more than 20 million people from the eastern Gulf Coast to the Carolinas to weather-related risk. The busy holiday travel weekend, days before New Year's Eve, slowed by threats of rain, snow, and more tornadoes across the country. The flight tracking website FlightAware showing nearly 800 flights within, into, or out of the U.S. canceled on Sunday, with more than 20,000 flights delayed.
My sister just got delayed 17 hours, though, so there's, both sides of it. We had the easy route, she had the tough route.
In Meadville, Mississippi, worshipers gathered left of their church. Church members recalling the moment the building was struck Saturday night as several gathered in the bathroom.
After all,
I'm sorry, but isn't that a sign from God? Like, fuck your church. What do you do going to church after God clearly said he doesn't want you to be there?
There's one bare spot in this church, about a 6-foot diameter, that has a clean floor. That's where she and I were laying.
Meteorologists are watching a brewing storm that could spell trouble for much of the Northeast heading into New
It's a miracle.
In the Big Apple, Times Square is one of those areas expected to get soaked. In New York, CB Cotton, Fox News.
Times Square expected to get soaked. Are we going to be watching a very wet rockin' New Year's Eve tomorrow night? Hope you guys join me. We'll probably do about an hour of Troll Patrol, and then we'll hop off and we'll do the performances and countdown and everything on NBC probably. Crime in the U.S. saw a drastic decline. Historically low numbers.
There is new data out that show the number of murders in this country is declining rapidly. Crime was, of course, a central focus of the presidential election, with President-elect Trump portraying crime as out of control. And a majority of Americans believe that crime is increasing. William Brangham is here with a look at what the numbers tell us. William?
Nick, data collected from hundreds of law enforcement agencies show the murder rate dropped 16% compared to last year. In San Francisco, homicides have fallen by a third. Chicago recorded its lowest number of murders since 2019. And rates of other crimes also fell. Car thefts declined by roughly 20%. For a closer look at what this means, we are joined by crime data analyst Jeff Asher. He's the co-founder of Data.
A dumb fuck right-winger in a political group I'm in told me car thefts in Colorado were up 300%. Looked it up. They're down 44% from like 2019. Or 2020 or so. I forget when the number was. Drastically down from 2006. Yeah, like it's just absurd.
Analytics and creator of the Real-Time Crime Index. Jeff Asher, so good to have you on.
They'll tell you, the cops aren't actually reporting the crimes.
Data that you analyzed. What stood out to you the most?
I think the scope of the decline in murder stands out, certainly. Right now, we have over 300 cities worth of data through October showing murder down 16%.
Murder down.
Here, the FBI had murder down 12%. For some context, the largest one-year decline ever recorded prior to last year was a 9% decline in 19.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just that we're seeing a decline in murder. It's not just that we're seeing murder relatively returning to where it was pre-pandemic, but we're seeing by far the fastest one-year declines last year and then again this year. And it's been a phenomenal trend to be able to follow.
What is your understanding as to what is the most plausible explanation for what is driving this decline?
I think the most plausible explanation is a combination of, one, just sort of everyday life getting back to normal, the stresses specific to the pandemic going away, and two, a lot of the tools
I got some news for you, buddy.
Primarily use both policing and non-policing to interrupt these cycles of violence, which sort of erupted in the summer of 2020. We didn't have those tools in 2020 and 2021 and even much of 2022. Now we have those tools at our disposal, and in a lot of cities, we're seeing murder and gun violence return to and even exceed where it was pre-pandemic.
We're seeing also, as I mentioned,
which was historical lows, by the way,
of crimes, but overall crime declines, they were not universal. There are some places that saw either a plateauing or an uptick. Isn't that right?
Sure. I think we're looking at places like Charlotte, North Carolina, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that had increasing murders. But for the most part,
glad I got out of that shithole then.
They're notable because they're the outliers. I believe in the latest real-time crime index, we had 40.
No, Charlotte was really cool.
Digit decline in murders and only 5 cities that had seen a double-digit increase. There's other types of crime that are maybe not seen as significant declines in terms of robbery and aggravated assault. We're seeing significant declines in burglary, theft, and a huge decline in motor vehicle theft after 4 years of increases. So yes, you can always point to things that maybe are either around even or even increasing in various cities, but with the majority of cities, the pattern tends to be decreases across the board.
Your analysis and all of the work that you do is clearly built on giving the average.
I think it's the legalization of pot.
Crime really does look like, both nationally and in their own city. But as you know, the
more people are smoking up.
People believe
more people are chilling the fuck out.
What your data indicate. How do you explain that?
I think there's lots of little things that add up. The first is that there's a data vacuum. We don't have a lot of good, strong data, and that's the vacuum that we're hoping that projects like the Real-Time Crime Index can fill. The FBI doesn't put out its year-end numbers until 9 months after the most recent year ended. So, one, you're asking people to essentially not use data and use anecdotes, and they're always going to have a bias towards how many murders have I seen on the news recently rather than how many murders did I see last year at this time. I think other challenges, the media doesn't cover the planes that land. There's rarely stories, and I've done far fewer of these interviews where you're talking about declines in murder, even though it's a record decline, than were being done in 2020 and 2021, where we're seeing big increases in murder, big increases in gun violence. And then you talked about at the beginning, partisanship is playing a role. 90% of Republicans, 28% of Democrats, and 60-something% of independents think that crime rose over the last year. And we're not seeing necessarily enormous just crime disappearing from American society. So you would expect to see maybe a 40, maybe 50% of the public thinking crime rose, that you have this enormous gap between how Democrats and Republicans see perceptions suggests that they're being fed very different stories about what's actually happening in terms of crime in the country.
What is your sense as far as the practical impact of people not understanding reality with regards to crime? I mean, what difference does it make?
Well, I think it has enormous differences in terms of, one, it's not healthy for people to be afraid. It's not healthy for people to think that they're going to get mugged every day or that they live in some crime-ridden dumpster that nobody would want to live in, when reality is things may be in their city getting a lot better. I think the other real challenge is that if
old people being like, I don't want to go to New York City, I'm going to get mugged.
That we're never able to understand, why are things getting better? Is it something we're doing? Is it randomness? Is it a policy that nobody's thinking of that's having an effect that we didn't expect? How can we understand successes is just as important as how can we identify and reverse failures? Because if we're having successful reduction policies, it's really a shame on us if we let this moment pass without seeing why these are happening and what we can do to extend it and what we can do to make this happen in places that are not currently seeing declines.
All right, Jeff.
Ironic. Good evening.
Crime Index. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
And as you 64% of Americans believe there's more crime in the U.S. than a year ago, even though FBI data shows violent crimes have been declining. And as you should know, I am absolutely going to now bombard you with crime stories, because this is just what I do. Gunfire detection software in Colorado led police to a body in a car.
At 6 Commerce City Police, they're investigating a homicide after a man was found dead inside a car. This is at East 62nd and Jasmine Court. Police say gunfire detection technology, they actually alerted them to the shots fired. There's no threat to the public, and they have made an arrest.
Culture, good evening. I mean, it depends on what we're talking about when we're talking about the FBI. Who are we going to consult for crime statistics? Because, I mean, if you don't like the statistics, you'd be like, oh, well, I mean, you can't trust the FBI, right? You know, if we're talking about, like, the FBI and their involvement in MLK's death, you know, I don't trust the FBI. But in terms of parsing data from police departments about the murder rate, I kind of tend to trust the FBI on that one. Who is your source that you would go to for crime statistics? I wanted to hear more about the gunfire detection software. But unfortunately, that was just a bullet point. Well, I mean, we have declassified documents now from the FBI that we can actually see what they were fucking doing. It's a pretty good source. If there's no good source, then you can't possibly make any kind of claim, assertion. You can't have any kind of an argument. Bullet point. Ha ha. That's like a nihilistic view. Oh, fair enough, Avalon. That makes sense. I didn't know, maybe like it analyzed gunpowder particles in the air or some shit. Nah, probably just sound detection. Where'd you go to, Culture? I'm interested in your point of view. You want to call in and talk with me? You want to challenge my worldview? I take calls. I take Discord voice chats. Oh shit, we got a live one. I mean, okay, yeah, let's have at it. 917-830-4359 is the number. If you go to the Discord, just tell me. It's a debate freaking voice chat. You gotta let me know. I'll hop on in. I might have to get comfy now. The North Korean Olympic medal count. It's exactly who you should trust. Boom. I think that works. I think I replaced it. Somebody told me the link didn't work not that long ago, and I'm pretty sure I replaced it. Got us a live one. Oh, I'm totally gonna be nice. I'm always nice, working gal. What are you talking about? I don't berate guests. I am cordial. Culture, my friend, are you with me? What slurs do you want me to call him? Specifically, which slurs? Hey, my friend, what's going on?
Oh, not too much. Are you making out?
What?
Oh. Sorry, I'm working on this, getting this sound working here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It sounded like you asked me if I was making eggs.
No, I said, how are you making out?
Oh.
How you doing?
I mean, I'll make out with tongue if you want to, if that's the way you like to make out.
No, well, I didn't ask how you want to. I asked how you're currently doing. I meant, well, I mean, if you're...
I'm high. How are you?
The question is, if you're using tongue, How can I hear you so well? How are you speaking so well while using tongue while you're...
I apologize. How are you this evening, my friend? Did we already do that one?
Yeah, we did, but no, I'm doing good. You got me sidetracked too. I forget why I was calling in. I'm a little bit high here. I feel like you are too.
Hell yeah, light one up, tip one back. That's my motto.
No, I appreciate it. But the Martin Luther King thing, FBI is what I was gonna say. I don't know if we're debating or if I agree with you here. I wasn't saying that you seem to assume that I was saying that there's a better source. I just said that the FBI is not a good source. And so I mean, I wasn't making any inferences or statements about crime statistics. I mean, if you had to make an argument about crime statistics, I suppose that's one you could look at depending on what the conversation is. I was just making the point that, you know,
it's a claim by claim thing.
It's the best one doesn't make it good. Just because it's the best source doesn't mean it's a good source.
I mean, like my thing is I cover the news, right? And so that's the news. The FBI says the crime is down, and sure seems like it. I mean, anecdotally, I've never been the victim of a crime, I don't think. Oh, well, I mean, not like a violent crime, not like somebody like, holding me up in an alleyway or something, right?
Hey, fair enough. I wasn't criticizing you for covering it either.
I just wanted to argue.
FBI's job is to keep crime down, so generally, I mean, that's a whole different thing. But I understand why you would report that, and I can't make a convincing data-based argument that crime isn't down. I just point out that I take everything they would say with a grain of salt, I guess.
I don't know if I understand a healthy skepticism toward the FBI, especially depending on, what they're talking. Once again, like their involvement in Waco. Yeah, we probably shouldn't trust the FBI, like investigate themselves kind of thing. But if, overseeing, one of the jobs of the FBI is overseeing the civil offices, right? So police departments fall under the FBI will investigate corruption in your local police department. That's like their jurisdiction. So like in that area, that's kind of like where you would kind of want to trust the FBI. What are your political views more broadly? Let's get off of the FBI.
Well, I was going to say, first of all, I think the Department of Internal Affairs is the one that generally is investigating police misconduct, not the FBI.
No. Like, okay. So, the Internal Affairs would be investigating, like, their own officers and shit. But say if you got a conspiracy, say the sheriff is on the take or something, that's an FBI kind of deal.
It could be, yeah. I'm not...
no, totally. That's one of their, like, main duties in the FBI. I said duty. Anyhow, what are your political beliefs?
I mean, in what category?
I mean, like, do you consider yourself a left winger, a right winger, a centrist?
Good question.
Ooh, I love this. Let's parse it out.
Well, no, I'm Canadian, so I don't have the exact same stuff you guys have going on there.
Oh shit! Well, there is a rightward swing in Canadian politics right now in the Trudeau situation. Though we watched the whole situation where the government didn't show up for the budget. That was wild.
Yeah. I don't know. I would say I'm definitely right wing for Canada standards, but I don't know if you're an American. I don't know if you would call all my views completely right wing. I'm supposed to depend.
I don't know the Canadians. They're kind of much of the world is swinging right at the moment right now. So you guys have a movement that definitely mirrors our MAGA movement.
Yes and no. I mean, rhetoric-wise, yes. Our next, we're definitely going to elect the Poilievre government as our next majority government. rhetoric-wise, you could draw some comparisons to him and Trump, but I mean, I would argue that I don't like the Polyev Conservative Party because I believe that they're too liberal. And
Too liberal.
I mean, when I say that, I mean in regard to the Liberal Party of Canada, their policy is basically indistinguishable from our Liberal Party, which is currently what most people in this country are taking issue with. They're gonna elect the exact same thing.
What is your motivating issue in politics? Like, what's your thing you're passionate about?
That's another good question. See, I would say there's not. I wouldn't say there's a specific overall issue that I wake up and think about every day. The economy would probably be the biggest one, like cost of houses, owning a house, big thing in Canada.
Okay, fair enough. Like, let me throw it to you from this. Like, the things that like I really care about are criminal justice reform, wages for poor people, programs to support poor people. That's kind of where my mind's at, right? So that's how I can actually affect change. You know, I want to preserve Medicare, expand Medicare, give Medicare for all. I want to preserve Social Security, expand benefits for people. So, like, I have a set policy prescription for what I want to see in politics. Can you, like, you don't find yourself being able to articulate that?
Well, no, I am. I not as. See, it's a little bit more complicated because you said something like Medicare for all. I believe I think everyone that's a reasonable person thinks everyone should have Medicare. The question is it feasible? Where is it feasible?
Well, Medicare is a specific in the U.S. Medicare is a specific program. They have it for seniors. It's a government-run health insurance program for seniors. It's wildly popular, and it would resemble more of your national health care system. And my side wants to expand that to cover everybody.
Right? No, I'm aware of the issue. We have Medicare too. It's called the same thing.
It's called the same. I thought it was called something else.
Yeah. No, it's Medicare as well. It's Canadian Medicare. It's kind of on a provincial level, but I believe our federal system is. But I digress. Regardless, I'm not saying I disagree with the concept, but see, that's kind of what I don't rigidly identify with the right or left because while I support Medicare, I think everyone should have free healthcare. Obviously, if I could snap my fingers and give everyone free healthcare, I would do it. But I also believe that there's some. See, we're talking about two different countries here, and we're talking about two huge countries.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all approach, I guess. If the country's doing great, there's a surplus of money, there's no other issues going on, yes, I believe everyone should. So, but I don't think that's a left-wing. I think most right-wingers that aren't insane think everyone should have free healthcare.
I mean, not in our country, no.
I think in your country, they don't think things through very well, and they just fall. A lot of people go based on rhetoric, but surplus of money where? Well, in the government.
I mean, like, our banking system is based on debt. Like, we can run a surplus that's take in more tax receipts than the money that we spend, but like we can never be out of debt because debt is our money supply.
Right, and having said all that too, I'm not against. I think privatized healthcare can be good too. I think that you should have both.
Okay, well, I mean, okay, so the Canadian system ranks above us, and you guys spend way less. Do you realize like how much Americans spend on healthcare? And we don't even insure everybody. There's like 50 million people don't have health insurance.
Yeah, but there's you're saying the Canadian ranks above you. The Canadian system ranks above yours. Is this an objective fact? Now, I don't want to get into a debate about healthcare because I think our system. I'm not going to say it's worse than yours. But there's some, like, you guys have better healthcare outcomes. If you go to a hospital...
The World Health Organization says that's not true. You have better healthcare outcomes.
You go to a hospital in America with cancer, as far as I know, you're more likely to survive. I know all kinds of people personally that have traveled to the United States.
Yeah, that's anecdotal bullshit.
Right, but
the WHO is data. See, this comes back to the sources, how you're like, oh, you can't trust the FBI, but, like, who can you trust on, You know, if you're having a discussion, you need to be informed on the data.
Right. So okay. Well, let's look at the WHO. What's that WHO data? Let's look at it.
Do it.
Which,
that's the whole thing. I don't want to download the whole thing. It's hard to look up shit like while I'm on the stream. That's 2019. You guys ranked 16th, and we're not in the top 20. That was 2019. I'd like to have newer data, but once again, it's hard to.
let me look at this here.
Profiles. No, I want the rankings. Okay, this is. This list ranks Canada at 32. I don't even see the U.S. on the fucking list. Oh, we're ranked 69th in this list. But this is like international citizens insurance. I don't know what this is. And I don't have time to like check the sources and everything. Did Flash give it Wikipedia? I'm not seeing a ranking. I wanted a nice little chart. Anywho. But yeah, all the rankings I was able to pull up said you guys rank above us. And plus you ensure everybody has access.
Right, so that's...
I have a friend that died because she couldn't afford insulin.
You're talking about something anecdotal too, but I agree. And I think anecdotal stuff's important too. I'm not dismissing that. I think we should.
Well, I mean, just the fact that this isn't anecdotal. I had a friend that died because she couldn't afford insulin. That's not a thing that happens in other countries. So I don't think you want our fucking healthcare system.
Well, okay, but to be fair, we have people. I've had plenty of people in my own city that have died waiting in the emergency room for 4 to 8 hours. Which, as far as I know, isn't a common thing in America.
Yeah, it is. Fuck. Sparkles has shingles. She's in like an urgent care for hours just this afternoon. People talk about fucking U.S. citizens talk about wait times all the time. Fuck, our hospitals are overrun. You have no clue about wait times at our hospitals. When you look up the wait times, usually what they're comparing is like for an appointment with a doctor, and we are marginally better than other countries to like see a specialist or something. But in terms of like access to an ER, nope. Our ERs are over fucking run because it's the only health care some people have. So they go to the ERs for like toothaches or minor fucking shit that they should be able to see a doctor for.
I gotta stop you there though, because some of the stuff you're saying I disagree with, and it would be anecdotal. But according to that Wikipedia article, which is the one that you linked in the chat, it says, as reported by the Health Council of Canada, a 2010 Commonwealth survey found that 39% of Canadians waited 2 hours or more in the emergency room versus 31% in the U.S. According to that study, the wait times.
What was it?
39 versus 31 waited more than 2 hours in the emergency room. But this is even more substantial. 43%.
So just marginally more, and everyone has access.
It's not marginally more though. It's close to like when you're talking 39 versus 31%. That's not a margin.
8%, single-digit percentage. That's marginally more. An 8% longer wait time to have everybody covered, and everybody can see a doctor.
I don't agree that you're interpreting that data right. But there's a more substantial.
How am I not interpreting? If it's 39 versus 31, that's 8%, right?
Forget about that. We'll say they're the same. 43% of Canadians waited 4 weeks or more to see a specialist versus 10% in the U.S. So that's a huge. That's 400% more.
What was it? What was the percentage?
43% of Canadians waited 4 weeks or more to see a specialist versus 10% in the U.S.
And as I said, that's the thing that when they talk about wait times, it's the thing that drives it. But once again, everybody has access in Canada. I don't have health insurance. I can't see a specialist. The chat was just talking about how like my eyes are fucked, man. I can't go get glasses. I see in a fucking eye doctor per prescription. Can you go do that?
I don't believe so. No, I don't think that's covered by Medicare in Canada.
Oh, so you can't go to okay? That sucks then. But like you can at least go see like an actual doctor. You have a dentist, right?
Yeah, no, I don't have dental. No, I don't have dental.
You don't have dental? Fuck, that sucks.
Oh.
Riot, get fucking dental. Which I mean, that's what I'm trying to do here in the U.S. You've got a left-wing movement trying to get them added. Why the fuck? Why wouldn't you be on their side trying to get that shit added?
Because the same left-wing movement is trying to do a lot of stuff I don't support.
Like what?
That left-wing movement. It's the NDP party ran by Jagmeet Singh. I mean, there's a lot of specific things I don't like about them.
Such as?
I don't know. Pick any policy other than healthcare and dental, and I would probably say that.
Give me one. You just said you've got very specific policy disagreements.
Yeah, there's just a long.
What's the top one?
We don't have an election currently going on, so I haven't looked at the NDP's platform currently.
Wait a minute. How can you tell me you have policy disagreements? And then they're Indian. That's what it kind of sounds like.
Okay, but they're not Indian. The leader's the leader is from.
He's a Sikh, isn't he?
Yeah, he's for the pro-Cal. I don't even know much about this, but as far as I'm understanding, he's very against the Indian government. He's not even allowed to go to India. So if I was against Indian people, I would.
Well, Modi's a pretty shitty president. So if you're on Modi's bad side, you're probably pretty cool.
Well, see, I don't know anything about that or have an opinion on that. But no, it's not because he's Indian that I don't like him. It's because, well, first of all,
then why is it?
If you let me, one major issue I've had with the last year or two is the lack of willingness to invoke an election and support a vote of non-confidence.
Okay, fair enough, but that's the Liberals, right? That's the Trudeau party. That's not the left.
No, well, but the Trudeau party is the left, and they've been in an alliance with the MDP, so everything the Trudeau party votes for, the NDP supports because of their alliance for the last, 2-3 years in this country.
Okay, yeah, see, that's another of the parliamentary systems that, I don't exactly know the nuances of.
And so even though I'm a right-winger, I can support some of your far left progressive ideas, but I don't respect the NDP because they won't push
call an election.
They can get into a alliance.
That's not a policy. Because you were talking about there's policy disagreements.
But you asked me what's okay. Well, I can give you my policy disagreements, but I would need to look up. I don't want to just say I don't like their socialist ideals. I would need to look at some specific policies in order. I can pull that up if you'd like me to. But let me ask you, what specifically do you like about the NDP?
I mean, I don't know anything about them because I'm not Canadian. But if you were asking me about why I don't support the Republican Party, I can give you a very succinct answer.
I guess the question is, do I need a reason to not support someone, or can I just support? Like I don't need.
You're treating it like a fucking football team that it's just it's all about feelings, but like that's not what politics is.
No, that's exactly what it is.
Oh no, it's not. Like it has very real consequences in people's lives.
Right, but you're voting. You don't have a mathematical formula to conclude who the objectively right person to vote for is. At the end of the day, you have to go based on your feelings.
You go based on evaluating their policies and their rhetoric.
Right, so we both agree that everyone should have free health care, but that's not like a universal scientific fact. That's just our feelings.
No, everyone should. I mean, there's a fact. Everyone should.
I agree. But it's not a fact. That's just.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
What is the moral argument to deny someone health care?
We're not having a moral debate though. We're just talking about whether we both agree. See, I'm not going to make that argument because I agree with you. But it's not a universal fact. The same way 1 + 1 = 2.
I mean, I don't know what you mean by like universal fact. I mean, everyone should have health care. That's seems pretty much like a fucking fact to me.
Right, but it's not a fact though. That's an opinion.
What kind of
I agree with.
What kind of political media do you consume?
It's not there's not a specific one. Really, not nowadays. I don't watch a lot of political media.
What brought you to my channel? How'd you stumble across me?
I was just looking for random shit to watch on the late night.
Do you? Okay. Well,
I mean, I'm interested in politics. I find it's an interesting topic. I just don't. So you asked me what political media I follow. I guess you.
Hell yeah! Have you given me a follow?
I'll give you a follow.
Hell yeah! I love it. No, I am Lord. I don't think we have a chud. He's calling himself right wing, but I don't think you even know what you are.
I'm right wing, but I respect a lot of you left guys more than the rightoids.
There we go. Thank you, Culture, for being a freaking follower.
Yeah, I'm not rigid.
But why do you consider yourself right? I've tried to get you to give me like beliefs or stances you have on policy. Because isn't that what defines being on the right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, but there's too many policy and you want to talk about modern political issues, which I don't really identify a lot with. I would say generally I'm pretty economically libertarian, and I support. So I would say I'm somewhat socially liberal, but I also support. I like the concept of conservatism, of some social values. I think it's something that's missed by. I don't think modern conservatives practice conserving social values very well, but I think it's something that should be talked about more.
So you had to throw in the social values because, like, if you were talking about conserving the environment, conservation, I'm totally into that. What do you mean by social values?
That as well. Excuse me?
What do you mean by social values?
It would depend on I would say more regional, like I would say nationalistic values. It would depend on where you're talking about. Would be where see. I don't even know what part of the nation, what part of America you're from.
Oh, I'm from the South.
Be too specific about where I'm from. Okay, so values in the South would be I think here I'm not too familiar with the region. Marriage, God, guns, and Trump. Yeah, I think God is without getting into the whole whether God is or isn't real. I do think God is a good moral, like religion is a good moral fabric for a society.
Why?
Because I believe that it's I don't think it's necessary, but I believe that it's helpful in helping people find a coherent moral framework.
Really? Do you know how many pastors are arrested every year for child molestation?
Right, but that's not a valid point. I mean, there's a lot of atheists that are arrested for child molestation too.
Not like pastors. Not anywhere close. Brother, there's like 1,000 arrested every year. We have, and here's the thing: is everybody else wants to be like, oh well, teachers prey on students. They don't cover it up the way fucking churches do. I mean, I can show you the Southern Baptist Convention covering it up, Methodists covering it up. I can show you the Catholics. Oh my God, the shit they have covered up. Not even mentioning that they supported the Nazis. Oh shit!
Right, so this, you're getting into the stuff that I'm not defending. I'm not defending like specific churches.
I mean, if you're gonna say it's good for society, and then I bring up like all this fucking horrid shit they've done.
You seem to be thinking I'm coming from sort of right wing Christian view, but I didn't say anything to do. I didn't even specify Christianity. I just think religion.
Oh, I mean, it's all religions. I think all religions are nothing but organized pedophile rings. Fucking Muhammad was married to like a 13-year-old. Fuck him.
Right. Well, I'm not very well educated on Islam, so I'm not gonna get into that.
Say it again. Say it again. Say it again, please.
Islam. I know. I'm not from the Middle East, so I'm not gonna give you a big. I don't want to offend a billion people there with my opinions on Islam because it's not something I'm speaking out against. I think Islam is. I think that's a good thing as well. You're pointing to examples of bad people that happen to identify with the religion, but I don't think it's making them do that. I mean, you point out there's 1,000 a year priests that get arrested, but I mean, up until the 1950s in America, most people were religious of some sense. For the last 2,000 years, most people have been religious, and they're not all bad people. I mean, a lot of great people have existed through history that were religious people. Sorry, I can't hear you. You're cutting out. Is that me or you?
I've been having issues with my microphone. I'm sorry.
Okay,
No,
you're back. You're back.
but like you're saying like I'm using like.
Oh, you cut out again. I don't know if it's on my end or I don't think it's on my end.
Fuck me, god damn it. So you're saying I'm throwing out like individual examples, but really the examples I gave was like institutional rot inside of religion, supporting Nazis, covering up child sex abuse, that the institutions themselves actually attract sociopaths and psychopaths, and that religion has actually been a net drain on society.
Hold on. Stop though. I agree with everything you said up until religion. The institutions are bad and they attract those people. I'm not pro institution.
What does that mean?
What I'm trying to say is I believe that following some sort of a coherent belief system or believing in a higher power is not an inherently bad thing.
Your claim was that it was good. Now you're like, well, it's not inherently bad. That's a different claim.
I think it's net good, yes.
I don't think so.
For society.
I think let me this is completely off topic. What do you think about trans people?
I don't think much about them.
Oh, they're not on your mind is what you mean.
They're not my mind now.
God damn it.
You're cutting out a little bit. You're still cut. Yeah, I heard you say a lot of right wingers would.
Okay, hold on. Can you entertain the people for like 2 minutes while I replace this cord?
I'll try to give you 2 minutes. I don't know if I can rant for 2 minutes.
You got 2 minutes of material in you? I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. We'll give you 2 minutes. All right. You people all seem to hate me. Yeah, this is gonna be hot. You guys get ready for a hot 2 minutes. Y'all seem to hate me and think I'm sort of a right-wing Nazi, which is not the case. Okay? Just because I like God, guns, and I think Trump's a little bit funny. Doesn't mean I support most of the issues you guys have with Republicans in America. I have the same issues. So don't, if you don't like me, that's fine. But don't let me in with those fucks. Is all I'm trying to get across here to you people. Goofball. Listen, I know you guys don't hate me too. I'm being satirical. Well, I bet a couple you probably do hate me, but I can tell the host here is a pretty cool guy, and he's not taking the politics too seriously. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but I don't really give a fuck too much about politics. So, you think I'm uninformed? Well, that's good. There's nothing wrong with being uninformed. Maybe I'm completely informed, just a little bit dumb. That could be the case too. Nothing wrong with that either. But guy call me a centrist. I don't like that. I don't know about to identify with centrism because all the centrists.
No, I think everybody likes you.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, we're back. Crystal clear, right?
I appreciate that.
I've just got cord hanging on me. That's the only problem.
But no, I was gonna say can't quite remember what I was gonna say. But yeah, I don't like the centrist label because most of the people that are centrist generally are I would say I'm very anti-institutional. I kind of I believe in the I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with like the horseshoe theory in politics, but I'd say I'm so far right that I've come kind of back around to meeting up with the far left people.
I mean, I don't think I believe too much in horseshoe theory, but we like kicking authority in the balls around here.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
Well, yeah, I think that's where we probably agree on most things.
What were we talking about? But you made the point that I was like giving individual examples in the church, but I was showing like the institutional rot and how beliefs in these systems actually fucks people's brains up. They're delusional. You shouldn't allow people that believe in religion didn't come to the decision to believe in religion rationally, so they're not thinking critically when they accept these belief systems. Just because something has been tradition doesn't mean that it's a good thing.
Yes, I agree with the statement that just because something's been a tradition, it doesn't mean it's a good thing. However, I do believe that see, I think a lot of your viewers, maybe, I don't know about you, but a lot of people are atheists and think that I'm coming from a standpoint where I'm saying that you can't have morals without God, which is not what I'm saying at all. But I think there's a lot of people that aren't very intelligent. And so, like I saw someone say earlier, you shouldn't need a book to tell you not to kill people. And I think most people aren't that stupid, and I agree that you shouldn't need a book to tell you not to kill people. But it's just true that some people do need a book to tell. Some people need a book to tell them, you know what I mean?
Psychopaths and sociopaths. That's what I said. That's what the church attracts people like that.
We're not just talking about killing people. Like there's other things in the Bible that I would say are morally good lessons. There's a lot of
like what
in the Bible that are
like what? What's a morally good lesson that doesn't exist in some other, similar text?
I'm not saying it, but okay, but hold on. I'm not saying it doesn't exist in similar texts. I'm saying all those texts are good. I'm not preferring one over another.
I'm putting you on the hot seat for the sake of I just like to argue with people, and I'm trying to get an argument out of you.
I don't think I'm coming across as doing a great job of defending myself here, but I'm not specifically arguing for a particular religion here. I'm saying that having a moral so a belief in a higher power will generally instill some humility into people. It will lead people to act in ways, whether it's right or wrong or valid or not. It generally, and you're gonna obviously there's examples where that's bad. In general, I would say that's a good thing for people. And in general, some people, and I would say even people that are relatively good functioning, successful people need some guidance at some point in life. Now, I'm not saying they need it from the Bible or any other religion. I'm saying that can be helpful to a lot of people and is a net good. Sure, there's 1,000 rapist priests, but if the religion didn't exist, 999 of them would still be rapists that worked as bus drivers or something. So I don't believe that there's religion is causing people to do. You could point to points in history where people disagreeing on religion caused them to do crazy shit, but I don't think that You could also find places in history where religions cause great things to happen. So I just don't think we should look. I don't think you should point to examples of how people have interpreted different religious texts as to the validity of overall their benefit.
See, you said it makes people more, instills humility. I would say it's the opposite. It makes them far more selfish and self-centered individuals. I got this dumb fuck that one berated one of my trans friends, but he thinks he's a preacher or some shit, and he called into the show. He text messages me all the time, just annoying shit about God, and he says he does it because he loves me and he cares about me and shit, but he's doing it to feed his own ego.
You're probably right.
I know I'm right.
Anything about okay, but just stop for a sec. Put yourself in the situation where he's not doing it to feed your ego. That would be a pretty altruistic. So I there was a time in my life where I was basically I would say I was agnostic, but I was pretty much an atheist, as atheist as you could be. I had a friend who's passing away. I'm in the hospital, and these religious people are there doing a prayer. I'm thinking, this kind of... So I'm probably... I don't know how religious you are, but I'm probably about as religious as you are at this point. And I'm thinking in my head, this is fucked. I don't know why these people are here. Nobody asked for this. And then I started thinking, just because I don't agree with what they're saying or believe in what they're saying, they still believe that what they're doing is going to help my friend get to some eternal happy... Whether I agree with believe... It doesn't... It's not about... What they think they're doing. They're taking time out of their day to come to a super fucked up, stressful situation to try to help someone go to what they think is going to be eternal salvation. So, I mean, that is... You could get into all kinds of debates about whether... But I still think that a lot of... Your friend could be coming at it from a very altruistic and a place where he does love you. Now, this guy could also just be a smug asshole who's trying to feed his ego. I'm not saying that every religious person is good or religion is going guaranteed to make a person a good person.
See, this is fascinating to me because like I would think somebody coming to the hospital is sticking their nose in a place that doesn't belong, and what they're doing is like a spell or an incantation, like they're practicing witchcraft at your friend's bedside. It's an absurd proposition, and it's insulting.
So that's how I felt until
that's how you should feel. That's how we should treat those people.
It's not because and this is where I talk about humility. Just because I have a different set of beliefs than them doesn't make me any better than them. And when I put myself in their shoes, they don't think they're practicing witchcraft. They're taking time again.
They believe in a book that says to treat others the way they would want to be treated, and they came and they imposed on you when you admittedly said like you were feeling like I don't know how you put it that you were taken aback by it.
Right.
So they weren't taking your feelings into consideration at all. They were just doing their thing to feed their own fucking bullshit.
Well, but I don't necessarily agree. I don't know that that's the case. I mean, I wasn't the one who said. So maybe someone asked them to come. I'm not. But my point was that I was.
Well, they just make the rounds at the hospital. I mean, there were just groups like that do that.
I don't know anything about this. My point was to say that I was thinking the same thing you were. What is this voodoo? What is this witchcraft shit? And then I started to think of things from their perspective, and I thought I was kind of being a bit of an asshole thinking about things that way because...
No, you're not being an asshole. You're being a rational human being. They are the ones being the assholes. And I want to change that perspective in life because, boy, is it annoying that religious assholes are like the default in society.
But they're not being the assholes. Whether it doesn't...
But they were.
Going to who's rational. They weren't. You're going to who's was the rational being in this situation, and it doesn't matter. I mean... I went to school with that.
Let me give you another example. My grandmother's funeral. My grandmother was not a religious woman up until the last few years of her life, as older people might do. They tend to, rekindle their spirituality. She did have a Bible. She did attend church, but she spent most of her Sundays gambling at the dog track. Right? My grandmother was super cool. when I was at her funeral, me, like I'm one of her closest grandchildren there, I've got this religious asshole. I have no fucking idea who this dude is. And he is up there talking about how my grandmother loved God so much and that she's sitting on Jesus's lap, blah, 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 blah. And I felt incredibly insulted that he was not talking about how well-read my grandmother was, which was like her trademark thing. I have her bookmark. That meant the world to me because my grandmother was a voracious reader, right? And I was personally insulted by the dude. He's talking about all this God shit and nothing about who my grandmother was as a person. And yet again, it's religious fucking bullshit, not thinking about the feelings of other people.
Let me introduce a hypothetical though. Now, this is, we'll say someone who's not your grandfather, but someone else you knew. We'll say your grandmother. I don't know. It doesn't matter. This person played monster truck with disabled youth, and so it's now their funeral, and they were well-read, intelligent, great person. And now someone gets up at their funeral. One of the intellectually disabled students that they worked with gets up and starts to give a speech. And the whole speech is about how they were great at playing Roblox with them. And the whole speech is about how you wouldn't get offended by that because you would understand.
Yeah, okay. So you're telling me to treat religious people as if they're intellectually challenged. Beautiful, okay. I'm with you. Let's do that.
I mean, you should treat everyone who you
as if they're fucking stupid.
Subject, as if they're intellectually challenged towards that one subject. Because obviously they are intellectually challenged if they don't see things from your perspective, if you're right.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. But now you're making the argument everybody should treat everybody like they're intellectually challenged. Like the Christians should treat, which they do, fair enough, right?
And yes, I am making that argument. You should be nice to people in the same way that you're nice to retarded people.
Oh my God.
Can I not say that on Twitch?
Oh no, I think you can. I prefer not to use it. I used to use the word until like my buddy really had he's got an autistic son. He really got on to me one night, and I was like, but man, you knew exactly what I was talking about because I didn't use it like to refer to somebody. I used it to refer to a piece of like bicycle equipment.
Yeah, no, fair. I don't have an issue with it, but I'm not trying to get you in trouble or anything. I'm trying to be respectful here, you know.
Well, if it really does harm people, then I don't want to. Like I used to drop N-bombs all the time. I'm on video, and I hope if at some point in time I ever do blow up, and then those videos come back, that's gonna be fucking great. But I decided not to use the N-word anymore, not because I feel like it's. Well, the conversation the way I always used it, I felt like I was very into Louis C.K. at the time, right? Very edgy and shit. But the way I used it, I always felt I was justified. But the conversation always became not what I said or the point that I was making about whether I was justified to use the N-word. And as somebody who is, a communicator, if you're not effectively communicating.
No. Listen, I get it. I was chuckling there because.
I'm sorry. I think there might be a murder going on in my apartment.
We got a left-wing N-word guy and a right-wing healthcare guy. An interesting combo here.
Interesting. Do you call me an N-word guy? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a.
Set my mic down here.
There is a.
Grab a cigarette, but I can still hear you.
There is a cancel Justin whole thread in the Discord you can go through where especially Warlord has clipped me out of context a lot of times. I say some pretty my neighbors are going ballistic. It's fucking wild. I just moved into this apartment, so it's the first time this has happened.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I was gonna phrase this in a very poor manner and say respect when someone uses the N-word, but that's not the case. I don't respect when someone uses the N-word. I don't disrespect it either, though. When someone uses the N-word, it can be a way to, it's revealing in a way that I don't think is bad. I'll say that.
I understand that you guys can't hear them, but I can. It's really distracting. Very loud. Oh,
What
well.
are they doing? What race are they?
I have no idea. I keep to myself. I don't like go meet the neighbors or anything. I don't come out of my fucking apartment. I get my groceries delivered. I walked across town today. Like I do sometimes get out. What kind of question is that?
What kind of question? It was based on the context of the previous conversation, and it was a joke.
Okay. I'll let you pass on that one. Goes to the machine. Good evening. All right, Culture, my friend. This has been a fun conversation, but after we do the news, and I might abbreviate it now because I've talked to you for so long, we do Live Music Monday. And tonight we're going to watch Niles Rodgers and Chic. You should stick around.
I appreciate it, man. I'll stick around.
Hell yeah, Culture. Come by and see us. We're doing the news Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're glad to have you. There's several other Canucks in the chat, so you're not alone.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. And yeah, you're now my, I just started a stream there I just started on Twitch a couple days ago, so you're now my top liberal consultant. So I'll
oh shit, you're streaming?
I just started there. It's not really politics related too much. I just talk shit about right-wingers on Twitter and left-wingers too and celebrities.
Somebody give Culture a shout out. I'm going to let everybody go follow you. We'll write into you sometime.
We do some politics too, so we're gonna need you maybe as our liberal consultant because I like you and
friend.
Most of your guys don't get along with me, so we'll get you over there sometime for sure.
I'll come on over. I'm always down to argue.
I appreciate it.
Have a great night, my friend. Happy New Year.
Yeah, I'll be around. Yeah, Happy New Year as well, and I'll stick around. You're my your top lib, and you guys are the top libs.
We're the top libs. Well, the chat will be insulted by the liberal label. They don't think they're liberal. They think they're leftists.
Okay, well, you guys are the top leftists, but I better not see. I better not see you dyeing your hair blue or blowing anyone there on Twitter.
What do you mean blowing anyone on Twitter, huh? We're not like Senator Kennedy.
It was I was making a Destiny joke.
Oh, okay.
Have a good night.
Have a good one, my friend. That was fun. Still haven't got to argue with a knockout drag out argument with a right winger. Sorry, I was busy blowing someone and dyeing my hair blue. Why is having a not natural hair color such a trigger for the right? I don't get it. Kikyo, good evening. Ribbons, welcome in. Is there anybody else that stuck in while I was in the Discord? Bimvox, good evening. Ghost in the Machine. So glad to see you guys. Mama Az. Anybody else sneak in on me? Good evening, welcome. You guys got here for the M-Lord. M-Lord, good evening, my friend. And M-Lord's significant other, if you are also watching. We are in the crime section of the show, so I'm going to give you a quick content warning. A fight broke out outside of a Las Vegas courtroom.
Now. Emotions high this morning after the court appearance for a man accused of murdering his girlfriend. Thank you for joining us at 4. I'm Kirsten Joyce.
And I'm David Sharns. 8 News Now reporter Joshua Pregero was there.
Oh, you got weed? Let me pack one and we'll light one up, tip one back.
In the hallway.
Yes, 33-year-old Renice Wolf was a beloved tattoo artist in the Valley. Her family and friends have packed the courthouse, so it's no surprise at this morning's hearing for the man charged with killing her, there was tension. This is 29-year-old Markeem Benson appearing before a judge in North Las Vegas Justice Court for his arraignment. On Tuesday, he appeared virtually, but the judge required Benson be in person for Thursday. For Wolf's family, they'd be standing a few feet away from the man who they invited into their homes.
I want people to know what a blessing she was, and I had her for 33 years.
Tracy Coleman is Renice Wolf's mother. Everyone called her daughter Nene. She spoke to us on Tuesday after prosecutors revealed Benson shot Nene 4 times in the back of the head.
Fuck!
He lied on the floor. Benson claims he was acting in self-defense. Coleman says the couple had only been dating for 5 months.
He shot her while she was laying on the ground in a fetal position behind the ear. What does that tell you?
It's not self-defense.
Our cameras captured Wolf's father, Robert, being led away by a court-martial in handcuffs. We also saw Wolf's family arguing with Benson's family outside the courthouse. The family tells me Benson's brother was antagonizing them. Benson and Wolf were at a family party the night before the shooting. North Las Vegas police responded the next day on Sunday to an apartment on East Rome near Centennial and 5th Street for reports of a woman who died. Nonetheless, Nene's absence has been heart-wrenching as she was celebrated for her tattoo work.
She was compassionate, she was understanding, she was always a Mrs. Fix-It. She always wanted to help somebody, and I think that she tried to help people with doing tattoos. We feel her energy in here, but we know that her presence is no longer here because someone took her from us.
We don't know at this time if Nene's father will face any charges. He is a retired Metro police officer. Benson
ACAB means him too.
After a judge denied granting him bail. David?
Joshua, thank you. Benson also facing a new charge related to this shooting. He was hit with owning or possessing a firearm by a prohibited person. That is the charge. He was also on probation at the time of his arrest for an attempted robbery.
Well, this is another crazy story. I think we've got multiple facets to this one. An infant was found in the median of a road. This happened in Illinois.
Alexandra Lewis.
And I'm Mark Salinger. Tonight, the parents of an Adams County infant are in custody, accused of abandoning their 1-year-old on the median of a busy road on Christmas morning. Jarvis Sims
on Christmas
were arrested on suspicion of felony child abuse.
9 News reporter Rachel Krause is joining us. Rachel, what happened in this case?
A witness spotted the couple and the car seat left behind, shocked to see a baby wearing nothing but a diaper inside. After first responders arrived, the infant was taken to Children's North in Broomfield, and that's where the Department of Human Services stepped in. Investigators in Adams County served warrants in the area one day after they say parents left their 1-month-old baby alone on the median of Pecos Street.
I turned the car seat around and there's a baby. And
you were leaving a Christmas present for somebody.
Adams County fire medic Steve Mendiola says when he arrived, the infant was calm, sitting in the car seat in only a diaper. Blankets keeping the child warm until they arrived.
The idea that someone would leave their child in the street and walk away, especially at 1 month old, no supervision, no clothing, nothing to eat. I think that's just kind of what pulled at heartstrings a little bit.
Well, a concern can come up at any time.
Minna Castillo with the Colorado Department of Human Services says the cases they're called to.
This is Colorado.
There's a lot of heartbreaking information that we receive into the hotline, and it is so important that we are notified of those concerns.
In this case, court records say the child's
good-looking median.
Christina Thurman and Jarvis Sims were fighting about her drinking. The arrest affidavit says a witness saw a couple arguing, then watched as the man set the car seat on the median and walked off. When she called after him, he said, "That's her kid. Give it to her." Walked away. The child was taken to a hospital, appearing healthy, before a urine test came back positive for cocaine.
Cocaine?
DHS scene and took custody of the baby. Castillo says they work to keep kids in a home when it's safe to do so.
Perhaps it is the case where one parent will move out and stay with another relative so that that child can be safe in the home with their other parent or caregiver. Again, they can also move that child to a relative's home.
Castillo says any time of the day, any day of the year, They have staff ready. They'll assess the severity of the situation, what help is needed.
Sound? I have no clue why you're watching this nonsense.
Child safety.
We believe very strongly that every young person deserves a life where they can feel safe and loved and cared for.
Colorado DHS says if you see something or believe a child may be abused or neglected, call. They may need to intervene, yes, but they say often they're able to offer families resources and help to keep kids in the home safely. That hotline is 1-844-GO4-KIDS. That's 1-844-264-5437. Rachel Krause, 9 News.
Now, let me throw you the cherry on top of this one. The family is arguing that the mom should not face any charges.
First tonight, we are hearing from the family of an infant who was left alone at a busy intersection in Adams County on Christmas Day. I'm glad you're with us tonight for Denver 7 News at 10. I'm Shannon Ogden. And the parents of that 1-month-old boy tonight are charged with multiple felonies. The child, who tested positive for cocaine, has been placed into emergency foster care. Denver 7's Ryan Fish spoke with the baby's grandmother and godmother about what they believe led up to this.
A 1-month-old wearing only a diaper left in a car seat on the street Christmas morning. His parents, Jarvis Sims and Christina Thurman, were arrested and charged with felony child abuse.
What has this been like the last couple of days?
My grandson should be here with us.
Thurman's mother and her cousin, who is also the boy's godmother, say Sims is to blame and should be the only one charged with the crime. And the baby should not be in emergency foster care.
We were so excited to spend our first Christmas with him. And we got robbed of that.
An Adams County Sheriff's Office affidavit says after an argument between...
But it tested positive for coke.
...admitted he left the baby on the median on Pecos Street just off of Highway 36 and went home to sleep because he had to work in the morning.
That man, he doesn't even deserve to see the light of day ever again. You do that to an infant? What is wrong with you?
ACSO also confirms the baby tested positive for cocaine. Thurman's family also blames Sims for that.
She walked away from the situation. She doesn't want, conflict. You know what I mean?
The affidavit says law enforcement, she, quote, observed Jarvis set the baby in the center median, but due to not wanting to create more problems, she turned around.
I believe in my heart that she would have went back and got her son if she's seen him sitting there in the median.
The family says Thurman did struggle with alcoholism in the past, but has since turned her life around. They hope she can return to take care of her 3 other young children soon.
So we want her reunited with her kids and get the right person charged for this.
I didn't even think about breast milk.
Ryan Fish, Denver 7.
And going in depth here, if you are ever concerned about the safety or welfare of a child, you can call the state hotline. There's a number on your screen right there.
Go for kids.
Department of Human Services today.
You need a catchy song like the Cars for Kids commercial. If you want to protect the children, you got a 844 CO for kids. Does somebody who's more musically talented than me, can you work that into some little ditty we can sing? Then we can save the kids of Colorado. I know who we can consult. We can get the media winch. We're going to Knoxville, where a 2-year-old was found inside a SUV. Oh, shit. I'm on the wrong browser. I'm sorry. Now I should have the correct ad blockers. You will not be able to stop me. SUV with 2-year-old inside was found in a muddy construction site close to where the vehicle was last seen. KPD is investigating whether somebody did attempt to steal the SUV or if it was left in gear and rolled down several ravines into the construction area. Knoxville Police Department said Elton Bailey and the Ford Explorer have both been located and Bailey is safe. That's the kid, I guess. KPD said it was reported to the department around 5:25 p.m. on Sunday that a gold 2002 Ford Explorer had been stolen from a home, and said Bailey was still inside the vehicle. It was further reported that Elton was with his grandfather, who briefly stopped at the home on Old State Road, quickly went inside the home and left the Ford Explorer running with Elton still inside the vehicle. When Bailey's grandfather came out of the house, the Explorer was gone and had presumably been stolen. The KPD Special Crimes Unit detectives. So is the grandfather the one that took it to the construction site? KPD Special Crimes Unit detectives responded to the scene while a large-scale search effort was mobilized, which included dozens of field operations and investigations bureau officers, as well as the KPD search and rescue and UAV teams. Search effort was also assisted by the Knox County Sheriff's Office. KPD said search efforts persisted for well over 3 hours with no verified sightings of the Explorer. Car was still running and Elton was found safe and unharmed. The Special Crimes Unit is continuing their investigation to determine if somebody did briefly attempt to steal the vehicle or if it was potentially left in gear. Oh, they're saying if it was left in gear and rolled several ravines to the construction site where it was found, that the grandfather might have left it in gear. Other they were meaning that somebody actually meant to harm the child by leaving it in gear. Or perhaps he went inside and just accidentally left it in gear. That's going to be one we might have to follow up on. We have video of a suspect in a bank fraud scheme, withdrawing over 25 grand from ATMs.
Who can help catch the thief who keeps dipping into someone else's account? Take a good look at these surveillance pictures from 2 Huntington Bank branches in Cleveland. The suspect used a paper identification with their own photo on it, but the account information for a Summit County victim.
Wait, they're not even going to the ATM.
Over $25,000.
Good night, Lenny.
You know who this is. Give the Summit County Sheriff's Office a call.
Brazen, just going right up to the teller. I thought she's defrauding some ATMs. Woman in Florida stabbed after apparently giving a worker a bad tip. So I'm kind of torn on this one. I don't know whose side to be on.
Once I realized the severity of the situation, I'm like, oh my God, these people came in here to hurt us.
Right now at 6, a pregnant woman stabbed at a motel.
Tip your driver.
A pizza delivery driver did it. Tonight, Fox 35 is speaking exclusively with a woman stabbed 14 times in front of her own little girl. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Manny Martinez.
Good evening. I'm Hannah McKenzie. Deputies say a bad tip is what led to
just the tip.
And as Fox 35's Marie Edinger reports, the victim says she's scared she'll be attacked again as deputies continue searching for a second.
Well, stop leaving bad tips.
The woman who was attacked said that her food arrived late, it was cold, and the delivery driver was rude, so she only gave a $2 tip. She did not think it would land her in a hospital bed.
It's pretty traumatic.
Well, now, if we're talking about, one pizza's $20, $25, it's a 8% tip, possibly. And if it was late, but here's the thing, is the driver they're not the reason why it was late. The store was busy. They had other things holding them up. The driver's probably wanting to get you your food as quick as they can. So I don't know. Wish we didn't have this system.
Melinda Irizarry, her boyfriend, and her 5-year-old daughter were at this motel in Kissimmee Sunday, just hanging out, having a staycation for her boyfriend's birthday. A little before midnight, she says she heard someone pounding on the door. That's when deputies say a man and woman forced their way in.
Once I realized the severity of the situation, I'm like, oh my God, these people came in here to hurt us.
According to an arrest report, the man pointed a gun at her daughter, then forced her boyfriend into the bathroom at gunpoint. The woman took out a knife.
It wasn't like She was just upset. It was like
Apparently they came back.
A frenzy mode.
At the hospital, Irizarry discovered it wasn't just her life at risk. Doctors told her she's about a month pregnant.
And I started crying, and I kept telling my boyfriend, I think I'm gonna die.
Irizarry needed over 200 staples for slices across her arms, her wrist, her shoulders, her back, her stomach, her breast. 14 stab wounds in total.
Damn.
Surgeries for a punctured lung and severed tendons in her knee.
My daughter seeing that whole thing, you know, it kind of is pretty heartbreaking to me.
It wasn't until later Irizarry and detectives realized that woman was allegedly the pizza driver who'd gotten upset about a small tip earlier in the night, Brianna Alvello. Detectives
How many pizzas did she order?
video linking her to the crime and arrested her on a warrant the next day. But the thing is, Irizarry doesn't think this was about money in the end.
You got the money. My boyfriend told you where there was more money, and you didn't go get it.
And now, no amount of money could get Alvello out of the situation she's in.
You're not going to be able to bond out.
She's facing charges for aggravated assault, kidnapping, home invasion, and she's charged under the same statute that covers premeditated murder.
State believes that
Everyone deserves a tip.
by life offense.
But in the meantime, the man deputies say was with Alvello is still out there. That terrorizes Irizarry.
I am scared, and he knows exactly how he looks. He stared at that man for how long with a gun pointed to his head. I want them to get him as soon as possible because they're monsters. They should not be out in the street.
Irizarry's doctors have not given her an update as to when she'll be able to leave the hospital, and she's got a long road ahead. She says she has to learn to walk again after her knee surgery, so she'll be dealing with this for quite some time.
Kinkfernology.
Marie Edinger, Fox 35 News.
I mean, I didn't want to say anything, but
and arrested her.
I'd give her a titty slap.
But the thing is, Irizarry doesn't think this was about money in the end.
Just saying. I'm getting worse. I shouldn't do these things. Some men were out searching for Sasquatch. This happened in the Pacific Northwest, I would assume. I think it said Washington. Torchy.
Well, 2 men in Washington on the search for a Sasquatch are found dead, according to Suckamania County Sheriff's
Suckamania.
The 2 men from Portland, Oregon.
They were looking for Sasquatch in Suckamania County. Did I get that right? Suckamania?
Were reported. Well, 2 men in Washington on the search for a Sasquatch are found dead, according to Suckamania County Sheriff's Office.
M-Lord, are you still here? What is this county? Suckamania? I want to move to Suckamania now. Am I hearing her correctly?
Well, 2 men in Washington on the search for a Sasquatch are found dead, according to Suckamania County Sheriff's Office. Now, the 2 men from Portland, Oregon were reported.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life.
It is pure racism towards Native Americans. Pure racism towards Native Americans. I'm absolutely, because it's probably a native name. Scamania? Scamania. Am I saying it correctly? Scamania? Suckamania is so much better.
Well, 2 men in Washington on the search for a Sasquatch are found dead, according to Suckamania County Sheriff's Office. Now, the 2 men from...
She's saying Suckamania. Terry, good evening. I can't get over it. She's saying Suckamania.
Well, 2 men in Washington on the search for a Sasquatch are found dead, according to...
Are found dead as well.
Sheriff's Office. Now, the 2 men from Portland, Oregon were...
Flash, why do you think they're dead? They found Sasquatch. I'm choked up over here. They found Sasquatch. That's why they're dead. No one finds Sasquatch and lives to tell about it.
2 men in Washington on the search for a Sasquatch are found dead, according to Suckamania County Sheriff's Office. Now, the 2 men from Portland, Oregon were reported missing by their family on Christmas Eve. The Sheriff's Office adds search crews of 60 volunteers with the Coast Guard, canines, as well as drones spent 3 days in Pinchot National Forest, battling difficult terrain and harsh weather conditions before finding the men deceased, likely due to exposure. The men were 37 and 59 years old. However, their identities were not revealed.
She apparently was butchering it, but Suckamania. I want to move there now and call it Suckamania. I'm researching Suckamania County, Washington now. The NYPD are beefing up their presence ahead of tomorrow night's festivities, which are apparently gonna get wet. I'm combining 2 of my favorite things holiday, wrestling and porn.
There's nowhere on earth like Times Square on New Year's Eve. And behind this year's preparations is a massive security crackdown.
Ooh, Torchy, can I come to your house?
As the ball is being tested behind me before the big drop on New Year's Eve, law enforcement officials are turning their full attention to keeping the estimated 1 million people safe who will cram themselves into tight quarters here at the Crossroads.
Test your balls, everyone.
We can expect to see a tremendous amount of police resources deployed throughout the area. And
no quilling me.
That includes members of some of our elite specialized units who will be strategically deployed throughout the area on rooftops.
The iconic bash is taking place in the shadow.
Torchy, do you have me on PS5?
The lone
wolf you play?
Attack on a Christmas market in Germany, and the CEO assassination just a few blocks from Times Square. There are concerns that supporters of accused assassin Luigi Mangione may try to disrupt celebrations in New York or elsewhere. And what a party it's going to be.
We expect hundreds of thousands of people in Times Square tomorrow night, and 1 billion people worldwide will tune in to watch.
You think, DJ Dub? I hope not. He's got
last year for this
very high-profile inmate.
Fire the ball, and we're going to have a new ball for next year.
If you want to experience all the excitement of Times Square but indoors, it's going to be costly. The best tables at the Marriott Marquis Hotel that overlooks Times Square are $6,250 per.
Yeah, Dick Clark did.
The view you can get right here.
Torchy, I'll make it even easier for you. My name's JustinFREAKIN.
He will be coming down. You'll see the ball drop right over there. Wow.
This will sell out. Does every year.
They'll never remember the O.
Applebee's will cost $1,100.
If any of you are on the PS5, you're free to add me.
1,000 pounds of confetti, all tossed by hand.
JustinFREAKIN.
Rehearsed.
I am JustinFREAKIN on everything. Well, we'll watch whatever the fuck is it Dick Clark. Also, here's the thing that's probably the whole reason why I wanted to do this is because my arch nemesis showed up at the fucking ball when they unveiled it.
$20.25 all the way live, one Times Square. Dolly.
Just for those of you who don't know,
One Times Square with the most iconic.
Besides Seth Rollins and Gwyneth Paltrow,
Everybody's resolutions every year. So
my next celebrity arch nemesis is Pitbull.
or I should say today, sorry for that.
Pitbull has been sticking his fucking bald head
To be here, to be able to
in my business for like 15, 20 years now, maybe.
hotels, clean the buildings, clean people's houses, the unsung heroes. You know, we're here to just let them know and let everybody know why dream when you can live it.
Hate him. I'm sorry, culture. Hate him. And just everywhere I go, there's Pitbull.
2, 1,
They're probably playing a song I'll get copyright on. Pitbull will get my 14 cents.
It weighs nearly 6 tons. It has 2,688 crystal triangles and over 32,000 LEDs that create a...
He's everywhere. Ask anybody who's around me in real life. Pitbull haunts me.
Here in Times Square.
Everywhere I go,
Jonas Brothers.
Pitbull is in my face.
Spector,
It's insane.
Mark Amber, Mickey Guyton.
Let me give you an example. Sparkles and I, like one of the first times we went out after COVID, was this awesome burger place. And we're sitting there like just as soon as we walk in, Pitbull is on all the screens. And I'm like, there it is again. Abattoir, good evening. Holy shit. This is the last year for that ball. They are retiring the fucking ball. You're getting a different ball next year. Probably one with like LED lights or something. I assume they're going to like have some really cool looking ass ball.
We're counting down to the most legendary she always says dad joke to me. Most legendary New Year's Eve celebration. The iconic New Year's Eve ball weighs almost
2025, baby.
It's adorned with thousands of crystals, and it'll be the last year that we see this one drop before it goes into retirement. CBS News New York's John Diaz got a closer look.
Yeah, good afternoon, and we are standing just feet away from what will be the star of the show. What we're talking about right here, the New Year's Eve crystal ball. Countless eyeballs from around the world will be glued to this New Year's Eve ball here in Times Square. And just a short time,
I'm betting it's going to be some kind of like LED fucking monstrosity.
Of the last crystal on top of one Times Square just days before the iconic.
Or just like it'll be like the sphere, and it'll just be like one solid ball of video screen.
In the fun as well, as organizers did a little test run and lit it up.
Oh my God, culture.
The New Year's Eve ball is covered with a total of 2,688.
One of my favorite artists, fucking Kesha. Her worst song, the one she does with Pitbull.
1,000 pounds. But this will be the last time this ball drops. It will retire and be replaced for next year's celebration.
The new ball will come in 2025, which will be a completely different design, but also is dynamic, but much more digitally interactive. This ball.
That's what I figured.
Floors of the building as part of an immersive arts and culture exhibit.
Let me tell you what a treat it is to be up here so high in the sky for this annual celebration. For now, reporting here from One Times Square, John Diaz, CBS News, New York.
The horrible, horrible song. Some of you might have missed this the other night when I played it, so I'm gonna replay this one. If you're watching on Twitch, stick around. It's Live Music Monday. We are doing New Year's Eve performances. I've got some of the greatest performances from like Dick Clark and ABC and MTV from over the years. We're gonna watch Nile Rodgers and Chic. I had some other things, but that's what I've decided on. We're going to do Nile Rodgers and Chic, New Year's Eve performance. And then we're going to get a potpourri of some of the greatest New Year's Eve performances through the years. I bet you do, Prometheus. I got your Dick Clark right here. Tomorrow night, we're going to do probably a short show. We'll get off kind of early. We'll watch Dick Clark or ABC or one of them. I don't know what we'll watch tomorrow. Whichever one has the better musical performances. But that'll be on Twitch and D-Live. Once again, if you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast, we're going to be saying goodbye to you right now. Goodbye, everyone. Go ahead, line one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. Back when I was a kid, TV Land used to do like the top 100 episodes of television or something. I don't even remember what I was doing. I got to change things here. Hold on. Then I'll get some music going. TV Land used to do like the top 100 classic television episodes or some shit like that. And Dick Van Dyke